Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie, right here on 104.9 The Horn. We like to call it the Hump Day edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn, and we'll talk about the Old Testament style, old biblical style butt whipping that Texas men's basketball put on the Iowa State Cyclones. We'll also get into, well, I guess it was an old biblical style, Old Testament style butt whipping that Texas baseball put on A&M Corpus Christi. We'll review both of those matchups coming up here momentarily. Also, we'll talk about what amounts to a scandal, what could be a huge scandal in college basketball with Alabama basketball, their men's team, one of the best teams in the country. We'll talk about that coming up as well. Also, we'll look at the Cowboys. There's another story, another one, separate story about the Cowboys looking at a quarterback. Man, this cannot be a coincidence. We'll discuss that. Daniel Jeremiah, his latest mock draft. I'm a mock slut, so we're going to get into that, of course. We'll also get into Todd McShay and what his latest comparison is for Bryce Young, and also priority free agents for the Cowboys. All of that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for this man, it's a breeze. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Hardball Hard. What's going on?
What it do, what it do. You're right, it's a hump day edition, and what better day to come in here and when it's National Margarita Day, number one. Number two, after two victories for Texas men's athletics. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. A lot to talk about, and we'll get right into it. But let me get into it right now. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But, of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. My man and yours, Rod Babers.
I appreciate the intro, as always. Gets better and better every time. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, the Idealionaire, one of the hardest working members of the Aryan family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid, but we damn sure that he's underpaid. Patrick Davis. What's up, Patrick?
Oh, man, it was a good night at the Moody last night.
Great night at the Mood last night. I guess we should start there. Well, you know what? Harge, last time we were going to talk Texas baseball and Texas basketball. I gave you the option of where you wanted to start, and because of the 0-3 start of the weekend with Texas baseball, you decided, let's talk Texas basketball. I'll give you the option again, because now we're talking about two wins. A win in the home opener for Texas baseball, big win last night for Texas basketball. Where do you want to start?
We're going to start with basketball again because I thought that was a very impressive performance, especially when we've gone through these games where it's been so, tight. And last night, they came out and performed. So I'd like to start there.
Okay, I'm glad. There you go. See?
Yeah.
Even with Texas baseball performing really well, too, which we'll get to, I promise you.
This team is ranked number 8, baby.
Yeah, they are number 8, and they looked like a top 10 team. Hell, it looked like a top 5 team last night against Iowa State, which also was a ranked team.
Yep.
They were also in the top 25. So you can be a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. That's the best number to do it, and you can also do it via Twitter. I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse, Harge at Hardball Harge. My man Patrick Davis said it's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. All right, let's start. Texas basketball, big win, 72-54. You're talking about a dominating win where they just abused the Iowa State Cyclones and pretty much had command of the game and control of the game the entire game. I think the storyline for me starts with the 3 guards. We've talked about how those 3 guards, if they're playing at a high level, which is the expectation, and you talked about it, Harsh, that, the key to the tournament is guard play, that if you got 3 of those guys who have experience in the postseason, but also guys who can play at a really high level, it makes you really, really tough. It makes you really tough out, I should say, in the tournament. And Texas had 3 really experienced guards that can play at a high level, and 2 of those 3 components were, I think, right along. They were basically right down the path you needed them to be, and they were peaking at the right time. Marcus Carr and Sergio Boy Rice. The question was about Tyrese Hunter and when would he start to ascend and play at a high level. maybe this is the start of it. Tyrese Hunter had a great game, 15 points, 12 of those were in the first half. Hell, as a matter of fact, your three top guards, Serge Ibaka, Rice, Marcus Carr, and Tyrese Hunter, combined for 43 points, but 33 of those were in the first half. They took command of the game early. And, yeah, when those three guards are playing at a high level, that's when Texas can really be a lethal team, potentially making a run in the tournament.
Yeah, the conversation that we've had throughout this season is, when is Tyrese Hunter going to be the Tyrese Hunter of what we thought we were going to see? He's had his ups and downs. We've all talked about the cramping. That seems to be out the window now. But last night he landed, hurt his wrist a little bit, but came back into the game and played well. This is the biggest thing for me. Yes, he went 3 of 5 from three-point land, and he was 5 of 9. But some of the things that he did differently that I was more impressed with, he worked very well off the ball. He was able to got a couple backdoor cuts where he got layups, and the shot started to fall for him. And just like anything else, Rod, you know as well as I do, you start seeing some things positive start happening to you. Your confidence starts to go through the roof. You start seeing the ball better at the plate. You start running your routes a little bit more. You start covering people because, I broke that pass up. I'm doing the right things. Now I can start being free again. And that's what it was. And we've all been on the other side of it too, where every at-bat is a pressed at-bat. I'm up there thinking every pitch is a strike. When they're throwing balls over your head, I'm still swinging at them. So you're going through these procedures in your everyday life. And that's why I think watching him play yesterday, and it also helps when you played at that school and you had a little chip on your shoulder when you see them come into your arena, so you're a little bit more focused. I've heard his post game with Craig Way and the way he was talking about it, and I was happy for him, just because I know what type of kid he is from all the people that have talked to us. I see that joy in his face yesterday, and it wasn't a kid that looked like he was struggling to make a play.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw when he went to Iowa State, those fans were ruthless.
Yep.
Really going after him. And so I think that, the rest of this team kind of got behind him and was like, all right, we're going to try and get Tyrese going tonight. We're going to try and get him the ball. And they threw the ball his way a lot early in that game to try and get him going, because they were like, look, we know this. We know everybody when you transfer wants to go beat your old team.
Yep.
And especially when they had said some pretty mean things to him. And he was like, man, go prove him wrong. And he came out, and so I think part of it goes to that. And then the other part was, we talked about it before, this offense was just grinding to a halt. And we still saw at the end of the game when they were trying to run clock. But when this team went up-tempo and just really started to push the ball, everyone started to play better, including Tyrese Hunter, because you don't have time to get in your own brain at that point and get worried about, am I going to hit this shot? No, you're like, no, pass, shoot.
Yep.
Like, you got it. We have to go. You don't get to think anymore. This is all instinctual. And when you get back to really good players like that, which is what Texas has, you can get a Tyrese Hunter to hit 3 for 5 from 3 because he's getting open shots. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he doesn't have the time to process, should I shoot or not? And then the defender gets back on him, and now it's a contested shot. It was just the whole team played at a different level of speed of play on the offensive end.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think it's a different. I don't know. It's just a different mojo. The team overall played with a different confidence when those three guards were all playing at a high level. It just seemed like everybody believed they were unstoppable offensively, that there was nothing that the opponent could do offensively. Now, they stopped themselves. They had that cold stretch.
They always seem to find one, don't they?
They had one. But at that point, I mean, Iowa State couldn't make a basket really either, because Texas defense still came to play. So, yes, offensively, they couldn't find the consistency when they did hit that cold stretch, which seems to be all too frequent with this. It's not as frequent as it was last year. Last year was a problem. Last year was losing you basketball games. This year, you see that with a lot. I bet if I watched enough college basketball games, I probably could see that with a lot of teams across the country.
Yeah, we remember Iowa State had a 6-minute drought in this game.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
And by the way, it is a lot more fun to watch the other team have a drought. Way more fun to watch.
And Texas, man, that 16-0 run. Was it a 5-minute stretch? Basically, that's what you're talking about. In the first half, that was the game. That's when the game was put away. Pretty much.
If you look at that beginning of the game, Texas scores, it goes back, and it's 4-2, and then Iowa State puts up 8 quick points. And you're like, oh, another slow start, we can't go. They come out of that media timeout, and that's when Texas kind of flipped the corner and went on that big run. And their defense tightened up, we saw, so that's where you get a 6-minute drought from Iowa State. And you feed offense off defense. And they were able to do that, and that was when once Tyrese Hunter started to hit some shots, you saw more smiles on the faces. And in Texas, when people are smiling, we're usually doing pretty good. And so when you saw that, you saw the guys really rooting for Tyrese, and it picked everybody up. And then everybody started to feel that, all right, hey, man, we can start hitting.
Especially when you're at home.
Yeah.
They smell the blood. I'm glad they did because they started to press.
Yes.
Too. They was like, no, we're just gonna throw in we're just gonna put as much pressure on Iowa State as we can, and that was smart because then the crowd fed off of it.
Yep.
It really is a formula when you're playing at home.
Yeah.
That defense does indeed feed feed up the crowd. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
And they'll really feed each other, and you saw it in that game, a prime example of it. And yeah, when they can make buckets like they could last night, man, Texas they're hard to beat. They can play with anybody in the country when they're playing like that. That was a complete game.
No doubt about it. And
close to it. I don't know if it was complete. It was close.
It was a complete first half.
You saw the 4-minute drought.
Yeah,
it was a great first half.
90%, maybe 80.
Yeah, because
85 to 90%.
In the start of the second half, Iowa State didn't score much either.
Right.
So there was a long period of time where you're like, man, Texas is playing awful offensively. However, they're not losing the lead really because they're playing good enough defense to stop them on the other end. But yeah, there is still things you need to work on. Of keeping a lead right now for Texas is going to be an issue going forward because they do play really well up tempo. But when you're trying to hold the ball out, that's when we saw a lot of plays where it was going down to guys jacking up shots with 3 seconds on the shot clock because they're just not. There's no way for them to really flip that switch and go, everybody play like you're playing, like there's 30 seconds on the shot clock. Everybody go again. Everybody just kind of stands there and they play iso ball, and then teams double off them, and it doesn't work.
You just hit the nail on the head. It's the fact that they stop moving.
Yeah.
When they're moving, it's a beautiful game. This is what I expect from them with the experience that they have. When you look at what they did on the bench yesterday, bringing Serge Ibaka, Brock Cunningham, also Arterio Morris played great as well, and then Bishop, of course. But when you look at their bench, that is the most important part about it because when they come in, it looks like the offense moves. Brock is going to be diving and running people over, so he never sits still. Arterio Morris is like a bull in a china shop sometimes when he get into the game because he plays at such a high pace. And then, of course, Bishop, he's talking trash to everybody. And Serge Ibaka is the guy that's just going to knock down shots. So that group right there continues to move. I think to your point, Patrick, when they get to that part where they start chilling a little bit is when the team starts looking, you said it the other day, looking for Marcus Carr to take that shot. They're in a panic mode, so let's get it to Marcus. He'll jack it up somewhere. They did that early in the game, and then they switched it up. They started moving. Those are the types of things that I continue to look for. If they can play where they're moving constantly, they're going to be a better team, and they're going to be a tough out. They still need that presence in the middle because Iowa State didn't have anybody that was attacking the middle of the paint or getting into the body.
I can't remember his name, but they had somebody who was basically getting every rebound and just tipping it back in because no one was boxing him out.
Right. But he wasn't somebody that would grab it to score.
No. And I'll tell you, there was one play, if you're talking about movement off the ball and a team working well together, where they make a great pass out to Christian Bishop, but it's on the 3-point line. A defender falls over, so another one's coming out to help. But Christian Bishop can't shoot that.
Right.
So now someone else on the team has to make a move, or else you've wasted getting this team all thrown off because now they're going to reset where Christian Bishop tries to figure out what to do with the 3-point line. And Tyrese Hunter makes a great cut to the basket.
Yep.
Christian Bishop finds him, easy layup. And it's one of those plays Tyrese Hunter's not done all season moving like that off the ball. But the whole team, and when you saw that, like that identifies this team moving without the ball to go, hey, man, I know he's in trouble immediately.
Right.
As soon as I see the ball there, I see an opening, and I see, oh, there's a passing lane because this defender just fell over. Let me cut to that passing lane. I'm going to go into the basket, too, catch it, easy layup. And plays like that are huge because now, even though Christian Bishop isn't a three-point shooter, his ability to make a pass and see things makes it so you do have to come out and block passing lanes at least on him, or else he'll be able to kill you in those. And like plays like that are a big example of why this team was working last night, as opposed to when they try and slow the game down.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It seemed like, and I like Hard's point about the movement. Just kind of keep this. If you keep that, they're so athletic too.
Yeah.
They're really, really a hard team to defend when they got a lot of those moving pieces. And in addition to the Holy Trinity, the trio of guards that played really, really well. We'll get back to it because Serge Jabari Rice, man, he at home. He's been phenomenal.
Yep.
He's been really good, period, all year long. But man, he's been great. And Marcus Carr actually played off the ball. You were talking about that yesterday. Had some Marcus Carr playing off the ball as opposed to him, being kind of more ball dominant. But Brock Cunningham is the point I want to bring up. He had 8 points, 4 assists, 3 steals. He was kind of an instant, energy and juice.
Yep.
Always. That's always been his MO because he's a junkyard dog for them.
Yep.
But it wasn't always with the added value of offense.
Yeah.
Right.
And now he's, in addition to him being the juice and the defense and the energy and, kind of an attitude change for the team, he's not an offensive liability.
No.
Now he adds something offensively to you. Man, shout out to my man Matt Butler, who just he's deep diving into the stats all the time, man. So it's just, he's always finding little nuggets.
I could just imagine how you guys are sitting there in the lab talking to each other. You're like, oh yeah, oh no, yeah.
He's dude. I go to his house sometimes, and he's got like a couple of tables and just papers.
Kind of like you.
Spread out everywhere, just all over the place. And he's doing it, for probably a better purpose because he's actually kind of a fantasy sports savant, if you will. But he had this little nugget he put out there via Twitter. So basically, he says for the season, based that Brock Cunningham has a net rating of plus 42.3, meaning Texas outscores opponents 140 to 97.6 per 100 possessions with Brock on the floor. Last year, he had a net rating of plus 41.4, so it wasn't bad either. That's 132 to 90.6 per 100 possessions. But if that's crazy. Both seasons, basically, he's led the Longhorns, so he's always been that added, like I said, juice to the lineup. But now you're talking about a guy who is, one of the he's now offensively been able to add that too.
Right.
And I don't think that's always been the case. He is.
He was never this good of a shooter when he got to the University of Texas. I kept thinking of him as a robot when he got here.
Yeah. No,
you know what I'm saying?
And Nick Moyle of San Antonio Express News, he put out that he's plus 25 in the 23 minutes last night that he played, which means he's plus 227 this season in plus minus, fourth best mark in the Big 12 behind Grady Dick, Marcus Carr, and Jabari Rice. Jabari Rice is plus 232. Marcus Carr is plus 246. So basically, 2 of the top 4 come off the bench.
Yeah.
In plus minus for Texas.
And which is why Texas continues to trend in the right direction. They're starting to get hot at the right time. They're fighting their way through these games because what have we been talking about all year? The bench scoring. The bench scoring has been a vital part and a key to their success all season long. Yes, you got the starters that do the numbers. You talked about Marcus Carr, and he's going to be a vital part. We've been giving Timmy Allen a lot of love. But when you get off that bench, when those guys get up off that bench, they bring it, and they bring it every single night. It may not be pretty, but they showing up and they bringing it.
34 points off the bench.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge.
No, it is. I mean, that was a really impressive performance by Texas. Because they had the game overtime win, just survive and advance kind of win over Oklahoma. But this win was a statement win over a ranked team. And I think this is kind of what we were talking about earlier in the week when, I guess the discussion was, now I was basically pointing out, hey, in the Big 12, you want to win ugly.
Yep.
And I think the point that you guys are making is, win ugly, but there are opportunities to take control of a game and take command of it. And this is one of those games where they had an opportunity to do it and they did it.
Yes.
And in Oklahoma game, they really never took command of the game at all. They found a way to win it. That's great. But you played to your competition and not to a standard.
Right.
This game, they played to a standard, not competition.
Yeah.
That's
they played. This is again Like, and it's something you have in your brain as a player. But if it's a ranked team, you think, hey man, we got to bring our A game. And if it's not ranked, you may think, oh, we don't have to bring our A game. And they did not bring their A game the last 2 games. And today they did, or yesterday they did. And you saw they out-rebounded Iowa State. They basically every hustle stat they got over Iowa State.
Yep.
They just came out and they came out a little slow again.
It was a little bit, yeah.
And after that, you saw it click in of, okay, no, this is the basketball team we can be. But a big part going forward was until you showed teams that you could figure out a way if they tried to take Marcus Carr out of the game, if you could still score points while that was happening, everyone was going to overdo that.
Yep.
In last night's game, you showed, oh, no, we can have everyone score. You can't guard one guy and stop us. And that's something you have to continue to do because teams are still going to try and take Marcus Carr out of the game because they know he's what Texas wants to go to. So you were going to have to continue to play at that level with everybody else on the court to let Marcus Carr then get his in the second half because the first half is going to be a lot of trying to get Marcus Carr away from it, and then hopefully you get a Tyrese Hunter to hit a few threes, and they go, "Oh my crap! Now we have to we have to switch defenders over on him." And then if Brock Cunningham hits shots like we talk about, then they're like, well, we never even had to guard him.
Exactly.
We never
That's
had
not
to
the scouting
guard this
report,
guy.
coach.
Yeah, and Dylan DeSue hits threes. Now you're having to bring guys out.
Yeah.
There's so many things that if certain things start happening in a game, and you don't need all of them to happen. If all of them happen, you're winning, but you need like 3 out of 5 to happen.
Yeah.
And we saw in those last 2 games, I mean, at Texas Tech and at Oklahoma, they probably had 1 out of 5, and they were able to pull out a win against Oklahoma. But you need 3 out of 5 on average to kind of get you to be able to play against some of these better teams.
You need solutions
Yeah.
for the problems that will be presented by
You
good
need Tyrese
coaches.
Hunter to go off for 15 or more. You need you need a Timmy Allen to put up 20.
Yeah.
Or you just need pieces of other guys to step up. And they didn't have that in some of these other games. And last night, everyone stepped
What
up.
I like also about the Marcus Carr point that you made, 5 assists.
Yeah.
So when when the opportunity presented himself for him to be a distributor, he also was a distributor. Same thing with Tyrese Hunter. I believe had 5 assists as well.
Yeah.
So those guys were really good at seeing.
Well, they gave Tyrese 1 assist. They gave Timmy Allen 4.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
my bad. Off about that one. But yeah, see, I think that for Marcus Carr, it was important for him to have and for Timmy Allen too, I guess, for a guy that ends up handling the basketball to be able to distribute the basketball.
And they forced 16 turnovers too. That's a big deal. I want to give a shout out to the fan base. This has been one of the best basketball seasons for Texas in a very long time, and the fans are a major part of the success. When they were developing the Moody, this is what they had in mind with the corral for all the students, the overflow up top, the way that it's been sold out every single night. That has been huge, and those fans deserve a lot of credit. You've been there. I mean, you've been sitting there every single night. You hear how loud it is, especially when you can't even talk to the people that are sitting next to you. That is amazing, and that is a home court advantage.
Yeah, no, it's an insane difference of the worst games, like the worst crowd response games at the Moody Center are about average to some of the best games that were at the Frank Erwin Center.
Right.
Just in volume and capacity and all of those pieces. There's the games that where you're like, yeah, they were playing kind of a nobody early in the season during when school was out are probably your quietest games of the season. And some of those were still par with like Texas versus Baylor at the Erwin Center.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it is a phenomenal environment. That's why they're 16-1 at home so far this season. So Texas basketball, big win over Iowa State, 72-54. Another win over a ranked team in Texas. I mean, there's no letdown in the Big 12. They got to go on the road now. Two consecutive games on the road, at Baylor, then at TCU.
Yeah.
And hopefully, the way it looks right now, because they're tied with Kansas. And both those teams are 11-4 in the Big 12, so they're tied with Kansas right now. And if Texas handles their business, that last game versus Kansas could be what determines the regular season champion.
Oh, that would be so beautiful.
That'd be sweet.
That would be so beautiful for that game.
Yeah, because that means look, if you win these next 2 games, you may already have it in the bag, but considering they have the tiebreaker on you. You know what? Let's just go win
Let's
at
go
Baylor,
win.
win at TCU,
Yep.
and then win at home for Kansas, and
Yep.
just keep rolling it all the way through.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
You can have
down
a
with
share
that.
of it too. I guess that's
Yeah.
also an option. Share of it or win it. But I'm with you. Take care of your business.
But I
win
love
out.
Tyrese Hunter said in the post game interview he was like, man, it's a big thing. We get the win, so we get a day off tomorrow, a full day
A
off.
full day.
He's like, a full day off, and then he goes, but we'll take the full day off in the gym because we're trying to win a championship.
Yep. That's a
So
beautiful
you
part.
love that this team is trying to still. They get it, and they want a day off. For like, I don't want coaches around me.
Yeah.
Well, we'll still ball.
Yeah, we
But
just
I
wanna
don't-
go
I don't
hang
want to
out.
get yelled at for a while.
Right.
All right, let's get into the Texas baseball team because they also had a big win last night as well. Shout out to my man Craig Way because I believe Craig Way was pulling double duty, hardest working man in sports entertainment here in the state of Texas, maybe in the country. But big win, Harge, for the Texas baseball team, 12-2 over at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. What were the highlights for you getting a chance to check out the Texas baseball team in their home opener?
Well, here's the thing that I really enjoyed. No errors. No errors are a huge part of it because up until that point, Texas had made an error in every game. So that was a huge part of it. And then, of course, you get the home cooking. You get to play in front of your home fans. You get to play on AstroTurf. You get a subpar pitching opponent in A&M Corpus Christi, and you go out there and you swing the bat. Texas had 12 runs on 17 hits. So that's a major part of it because after last weekend and you got a chance to see some real power arms, you get to come home and play against a team like this. LeBaron Johnson threw the ball well. He had a dominant performance after the first inning. Remember I told you, I was like, man, they hit a home run on him in the first inning, or he drove home that run. And then after that, he settled down and pitched lights out. This is somebody that is a huge human being, on the mound that has a presence like no other. And if he can throw strikes, it'll be a beautiful thing. And that's exactly what he was able to do. At some point, I think he might be the closer. Remember, I was talking to you off air. I was like, I don't know what they're going to do on the back end of their bullpen to try to figure out who's going to be the closer. And if he can go out there and throw strikes, that's it. I just need you to throw strikes. He can be nasty because he is that big presence on the mound. It's more about consistency right now, and last night he threw the ball well.
He did. I love the way he bounced back, too.
Yeah.
He said had some struggles early on, gave up that was solo shot early on,
Yep.
but only allowed 3 hits, 1 earned run, which was that shot, and the 8 strikeouts. So he did. He's 6'4".
Yeah, he's
And
huge, man.
6'4" and long.
Yeah, very
Like 6'4".
long.
It's good to be 6'4". He's 6'4" and
Like
long.
the ball
and
is
rangy.
right on you as soon as he
I'm
lets
with
it
you,
go.
too. Yeah, he did, man. He looks like a freak up there on the mound. But you also, of course, it was an offensive onslaught, if you will, for Texas. I think I love the stat. Every Longhorn reached base at least once by the 5th inning.
Yep.
And it was that big. Was it the 5th inning that they had these 6 runs?
Yep.
And
It was
blew,
the bottom of the 5th.
and that blew everything open. That was pretty much that was it. That was like that Texas basketball 16-0 run.
Yeah.
And after that,
Exactly.
that was all she wrote.
Yeah, Kennedy got a triple. He tripled it to right field, drove in 3 runs that inning. Dylan Campbell hit the ball well last night as well. Porter Brown almost killed Coach Pierce over at third base. Ball came right at his head, and he had to duck and get out the way. And he said this morning, he's like, man, I'm so glad that I looked over there because I was watching the runner at second base, and the next thing I know, the ball is right at me. I was like, you still got some instincts, man. I like that. You still get out of the way of that thing. So that was good for them. But most importantly, these young players got a chance to exhale. First you got the
win.
dub, and
Especially at home.
You wasn't facing that 97 right out the chute. You got a chance to go in there, and shout out to Jalen Flores, hit his first collegiate home run. And matter of fact, it was his first hit. His first hit as a collegiate player was a home run. So
Nice.
shout out to him.
Yeah, they had 5 extra base hits, which was more as many as they had in the first 3 games.
Exactly.
Combined, had 15 hits, so it really was, man. It was a prolific performance by the Texas baseball team. Duplantier, there's the brothers?
The brother, yeah, there was brothers. One's the second baseman, Jaden, who I think is going
So
to
it's-
be special.
Okay,
And then
there's
his brother
Andre.
Andre
Wow.
is the pitcher. And he right now, they would consider him probably the closer as of right now, Andre.
Mm.
But you still have those moments where you're trying to figure out who's going to be what if they had to establish that.
Man, I gotta tell you, obviously I'm in the bubble here with Texas sports, of course, and I'm myself being a Longhorn. I would love for there to be a national study done about how many brother combos have played sports, different sports, sibling combos have played different sports at the same school.
Right.
Or they played whatever, played the
Let's
same
just-
sport, just played sports. Siblings have played sports at the same school. They ain't got to be
Right.
sports, whatever, same sports, whatever. And see where Texas is among those schools.
There are a lot of them.
There's a ton of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go through in football and
Right.
in baseball. There's like 3 if I can think of on the top of the dome.
Yeah, man.
Maybe we shouldn't even keep it to siblings. Maybe we should just go with, I don't know, family
Familia?
members,
Yeah.
legacies.
Yeah.
We just
Well,
go with
there's
legacies.
a lot of that when you talk about the University of Texas, to your point, because
Just
you're so
legacies
close
and-
here.
And yeah.
So you know a lot of the
crazy.
people that have come through this university.
I feel like every
and-
year we're talking about a
Exactly.
brother or some type of, like you said, family relation
Yeah.
to some player that was here at Texas.
we got a
Um,
couple that just finished. Well, one is going to be there, Vosick, and don't forget the Brockmeyers.
Yeah, I would love to see a study
Yeah.
about the
And now
just
the
the,
Duplantier.
yeah, the legacies, just
Yeah.
family connections that played sports at the same school, because Texas got to be really high up there. It
And
always happens.
Michael Torres, that played shortstop here at the University of Texas, his brother is O'Hara, the shortstop that's here right now as well.
That's what I'm saying.
So, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know we can do our own kind of internal study, but I would love to compare it to other schools. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's got to be really high. Football alone has had tons.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it's at least, I don't know, at least 10 potentially just in football alone.
Yeah.
All right. Specs text line. Hit us up.
Yeah, I know
me-
you know.
I know y'all know. Hit us up.
Where you at, CB?
I want no, family legacies that have played, because I bet softball has some that we haven't even gotten into. I bet they're all over the place, man. It's crazy. Anyway, random thoughts there, but good stuff there. Breaking down Texas baseball's first win of the season, home opener versus Texas A&M Corpus Christi. We come back. We'll talk about right now what is the biggest scandal in college basketball, probably the biggest scandal in college sports, period. All of that and more right here. We return on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a hump day edition of Ball Don't Lie, which also means it is time for midweek movie music, the midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. That's where my man Patrick takes songs from a certain soundtrack of a movie, plays those selections for us, and then based on the songs we hear, we're supposed to gather clues and hints that's supposed to lead us to exactly what the featured film is for midweek movie music. Okay? Talking about some drugs. I know that. Right?
Talking
About some drugs.
I was gonna say
nothing wrong with responsible use of legal drugs. Okay?
I don't know back
Don't
then if
touch
they
these.
was legal.
Hey.
Because this sounds like it was back in the day music,
Well,
but that doesn't mean that's
Hey,
the theme,
I'm
correct?
listening to it right now.
Yeah.
In certain parts, it ain't legal here. Well, some drugs are, not the good ones.
Right. Ding, 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 ding.
Okay, we got that. Who was that, by the way? So give us a little hint more.
That's Ryan Adams.
Okay. All right. So I got the theme of it. All right. You got anything hard? You got a guess already? You've hit it on the first time,
No.
like twice.
No, I'm trying to figure out
Text line's
that.
already got it.
What?
Text line's already got it. This was one that I wouldn't have got it from that song, but I could see why people could.
Oh, so I'm just talking about a drug movie? Is that basically what it is?
Not really.
It's not really one?
No, there's drugs in it, but I would not call it a drug movie.
Is this Wolf of Wall Street?
No.
It.
Okay.
Is it Blow?
No.
All right.
No, that's a drug movie.
Okay. I'm
Man,
trying to
if
figure
the
out-
title
I'm
of
trying
it is
to
a
figure out
drug.
the difference of the drug movie. It got drugs in it. I'm like, well, out there, 80% of movies out there got drugs in it. That didn't help me out at all. Drugs in it. That's for a drug movie.
Well,
Okay.
I don't want to throw you off so much to say it's not a drug movie, and then you'd be like, "There's drugs in that movie."
Yeah, okay.
So I didn't want to throw you off
That's
completely
fair.
off the head.
That's fair. Okay. We'll try to get it on the next one. All right, let's get into this story here real quickly. We'll get back to the familial legacies at Texas in sports. Apparently, that's one thing that's lit up the Specs text line. I
There
really
is a
appreciate
ton
it.
of them.
There's a ton of them. Like I said, I know just at the top of my dome that there was going to be a lot of them. I've forgotten how many of them there were. Okay, so this story is a wild story. So everybody's heard at this point about the murder charges that have been filed against the former Alabama basketball player and also against another gentleman as well. It basically got Darius Miles has been charged with capital murder.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having,
And Michael Lynn Davis.
Michael Lynn Davis. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And they are having depositions right now. So they're hearing testimony from detectives and from people involved with the case. And AL.com, at least Carol Robinson, she is reporting that the testimony reveals that Darius Miles, the one who is being charged here in this case,
The one who pulled the trigger.
he's being one charged with allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I don't know what he's claiming. I think he's claiming self-defense is what they're claiming, right? Him and Michael Davis, either way. But it's been revealed that Brandon Miller, who is the basketball player for Alabama currently, who's a really good player, leading scorer, it's a guy that's supposed to be a lottery pick in the NBA. A lot of people are saying top 10 pick easily in the NBA. Like he's really, really highly thought of in scouting circles in the NBA. They're saying that he, who was a former teammate of Darius Miles, that basically when he arrived on the scene of last month's shooting, that basically he told that he gave the gun. He basically provided the gun. He provided the murder weapon.
Right.
Because he brought the murder weapon to the scene of the crime.
Correct.
He didn't pull the trigger.
He did not.
He did not pull the trigger, and he was not one of the ones that's being charged at all.
Correct.
And the police have said he will not be charged.
Correct.
So Alabama basketball player Brandon Miller will not be charged at all, but they did reveal in testimony that he did bring the gun to the scene.
Correct.
And the coach of Alabama, Nate Oates, has even now currently, they have not said that they are going to suspend him or that they are going to reprimand him at all. They're basically just kind of claiming that it was a very unfortunate incident. Someone was killed, of course.
Yep.
A young woman was killed. She lost her life. And they are basically
Yeah, her name was Jamia Harris. She was 23 years old. She leaves behind a 5-year-old son, by the way.
And even with those details, they have not stated whether they're not going to suspend him as of yet.
Correct.
Right now.
Correct. And to me, I mean, I don't know where his mind's going to be, dealing with this situation. He is a young kid, and he was asked to do something. He brought it, dropped it off, left. He wasn't even there, as you said. He left.
He wasn't there.
He didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah,
he just said, "Hey, bring it to me. I need it." So, all right, here you go. I'm gone.
That's all he did.
Right. So for them to assume that he knew what was going to happen, I know everybody's going to say, "Oh, man, you know what happens when you bring it." Not necessarily. There's a bunch of people walking around Austin right now with it concealed. So we don't know what their intent is with the gun or not with the gun. So we can't assume that he knew that, hey, I need this. We don't know what their conversation was. He's just like, from all accounts, it seems like he said, "Hey, man, I just need you to bring it here." He didn't stick around. He couldn't get – from what I read and what I heard from one of the prosecutors, they were saying that he couldn't even – the reason why he wasn't there because he couldn't even get into the club. There was a line. So he ended up leaving and going back to the dorms, which is why they were – or not, I don't know if it was dorms or apartment or whatever, which is why the phone call was made and say, "Hey, are you by the crib? Can you bring it over here?"
If that is the case, then there is some suspicion because his car, also a policeman testified, an officer of the law testified, that his car and another teammate, Jalen Bradley, their cars were blocking the road where the victim's car was parked.
Yeah.
And that Miller's car was also struck with 2 bullets. Whether those cars were intentionally blocking the victim's car, nobody really knows, but it was.
You want to use my car?
Yeah, so I don't know because
you know what I'm saying. You want to use my car? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm like, I just don't exactly because it's
roommates use or partners use each other's car all the time.
So those are the 2 things that were revealed in testimony that people are, criticizing the Alabama basketball program for not acting upon.
Right. Well, I mean, they are going to do what they feel is right, not in the court of public opinion. It kind of goes back to what we were dealing with here at the university. Everybody kept saying one thing, wait, but this guy is not he's not employed by the office, right? He's not employed by the state, the player. He's an athlete at the university, and some people would say kick him off the team. But then you also have to deal with the legal side of it as well, to where this kid can go back and say, "I had nothing to do with it." The DEA saying he's not being charged. There's other people that saying that he had zero to do with the situation, and he probably wasn't lying to them, right? He has to be able to, because if they called and talked to him, that means that he didn't lie about the situation either.
Yeah, they have said publicly they're not going to charge him with anything. Right. They just said there's nothing they can charge him with. Is what they said.
Right.
They said there's nothing to charge him with. They don't have a charge for him. Some people say, what about accessory or what other kind of stuff? I don't know if it would hold up. Is basically what they said. They don't have the evidence to back up those types of charges.
Right. Because it'd be like I said, it's like, "Hey man, I need you. Here's my code. Go to my house. Bring my piece here because I left it and I'm not leaving to go back and get it. Can you bring it to me?" And then you do that, and you have no idea what it's about to be used for. Or is it if it is going to be used?
Yeah, that's not. You're right. That's not your decision. You had nothing to do with that. I guess if you want to charge him with bringing a gun to someone, I guess you.
And you didn't catch him with possession of it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I don't know if that's a charge.
Right. And it didn't go over state lines. It didn't do anything like that. He just brought it.
If you caught him with it,
right?
At the time,
then it's something else you can get him with.
But you didn't catch him with it at the time.
Right.
So people are upset about it.
Oh, you know they are.
But they're upset that the coach has not acted on his own. Even with the Chris Beard situation, as you brought up, Texas acted. Right. Decided, you know what? Your conduct has our code of honor, whatever it may be, has nothing to do with the legal code or the authorities and your status with the authorities and your legal status. We have a code of ethics that we are enforcing.
Correct.
And we have done our own due diligence, and we are deciding that this is going to be your punishment.
Because not only that,
so
I think
that's what they're
go
saying. Alabama could act on their own. They don't have to wait for the authorities to do so.
Right. I would say don't wait on the coach to make that decision. If the university wanted to make that decision, I think that is more where you need to be.
Yeah,
if
but
the university is not laying down the law on the coach to make sure that happened, because it will be from the uppers.
Oh yeah, I know, but they're basically that everybody here is benefiting from the young man being eligible to play because Alabama's one of the best teams in the country, and he's
one of the best players
on the team.
Right.
So I think that's the kind of the moral, issue, the ethical issue that they're dealing with here.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate on this one.
No, you're making good. If you're a lawyer, that's the point. It's
right.
Like, what did he do? Give me what he did. And they're like, well, he brought a gun to the scene of a crime. And it's like, well, what did he do anything with it? Did he commit a crime with the gun? It's like, no. He just dropped it off to somebody that committed the crime.
Right.
And it's you can't be charged by degree of separation, unless he was actually acting in some type of concert with them. If he was acting
If I'm not mistaken, I believe the gun is registered to the person who committed the crime. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like it's an illegal firearm.
Well, 2 people are being charged with it, right?
But one of them, I think the pistol or the gun or whatever type of gun it may be is registered to that person.
To Darius Miles?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the other part of it too. So there's so much to unwind from this deal.
It is.
I could be mistaken on that, but I thought I did hear or read that was registered to that young man. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the problem with all this stuff. And when you start looking at it, somebody got hurt at the end of the day. Somebody's life was taken, and it wasn't used in the proper way.
Yeah.
Especially because when you read the report and you hear some of the stuff, they just shot it into the car. You don't even know who's in there. And then the person returned fire.
They returned fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's why I believe self-defense is being claimed.
Right.
And I'm not sure if we know who fired what first.
Yeah, exactly.
We just know there was gunfire exchanged, and then someone lost their life as a result of it.
Unfortunately, because that young man, that little 5-year-old lost his mother in this situation.
No, it's really sad. And Nate Oates made some unfortunate comments at one time saying that his player was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And because of these details, he had to apologize for that
quickly.
Statement. Yes.
Yeah, retract.
Being unaware of how insensitive that statement was, considering someone lost their life.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back. We'll get into the flex on the other side, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. You all know that my favorite tequila is Hot Cat Tequila. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and the recipe is just as simple and brilliant and delicious, by the way. That's why it's so light and so smooth. It's just cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. Hot Cat Tequila is a tequila lover's dream, and if you're not a fan of tequila, Hot Cat Tequila will make you a fan of tequila. It'll turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you can't go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. So turn up your party today with Hot Cat Tequila. No watch party is complete without Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or just a night on the town with family and friends. Hot Cat Tequila is best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit cattequila.com. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Midweek movie and music edition of Ball Don't Lie. We try to gather clues from the songs and selections that my man Patrick gathers from a soundtrack of a movie that inspired him. And that's those clues are supposed to lead us to the feature film of midweek movie music. Harge, what you got? You got some.
I'm reaching right now. Are we allowed to ask for a clue real quick?
You get a clue at 4 o'clock. You got to wait till that third. We're only like a few minutes away.
That's true.
You got to wait for that third song.
Is this Ricky Bobby?
This is not Ricky Bobby.
Okay.
It's a good guess.
Yeah.
It's fair.
It sounds like somebody that would be racing somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this sounds like a racing song.
I know. I'm not getting the vibe. It's a different vibe than the last song. Last song was about drug use.
And this one is just I am your
It's about rocking out. A little bit different. Okay. We'll see what the 4 o'clock hour brings us for
Dang it.
midweek movie music. I agree. I'm disappointed in us.
I'm
as
disappointed
usual.
big time.
FLXATX.com will not disappoint you. Go check it out right now. As a matter of fact, Wednesday Night Flex happening tonight. My man Zach Lucero, Nolan, the Seed usually helps out. Cameron helps out with that. They do a really good job. So you can go check out the preview for that. And remember, you can stick around for that tonight. You'll have the Wednesday Night Flex. Also, the by-district final scores and the area matchups are out there as well. So you can go check out the scores from the playoff games, from the area matchups that we just had recently. Go check those out also at FLXATX.com.
Yeah, there's a lot of basketball to be played, and there's a bunch of big games for the area. Stony Point, which is 30-1, will take on Cibolo Steel tonight. Or is that going to be? It said the 23rd, so Friday. So there is a possibility of a matchup of Stony Point and gosh dog it. Oh, Buda Johnson.
Buda Johnson.
I was talking to Zay about that. How about this score the other night? Round Rock beat Lake Travis 37-24 in basketball.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, did they go for 2? I don't even know. So Round Rock now plays San Antonio Reagan. And also we want to give a shout out especially to the girls of Pflugerville. Pflugerville Hendrickson and the Pflugerville Panthers have now advanced to the Sweet 16, and they are headed for a matchup amongst each other. If they both win, I believe that they will be playing each other to get to the Final Four as well. So shout out to those ladies as well.
Yeah, go check it out, FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all your social media platforms. And they do have the Monday night scores, but also the Tuesday night scores and matchups as well. You can go check those out. So a lot of great content up there for you at FLXATX.com.
And high school baseball has started in the area. There's a bunch of tournaments that will be happening starting tomorrow. I know that there'll be some games at Westlake. There'll be a ton of games in Round Rock. And I believe there will be some in Liberty Hill and Westwood. So be prepared. There's a lot of games. Baseball is happening right now.
Yeah, man. It is that season. Tis the season.
Tis the season.
All right, we'll come back. We'll get into some NFL news, notes, and nuggets. The Daniel Jeremiah mock draft is out. Also, Cowboys. Another report. Separate report.
Come on.
They're looking at QBs in the draft.
Man.
I like it. I'm going to applaud the Cowboys on this one. I like that. Also, we'll come back, check out the Spec Sex on. Hopefully, we get to the bottom of midweek movie music. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, Patrick's taking it easy on us for midweek movie music. This one made it pretty obvious. Midweek movie music, taking songs from a soundtrack that inspired him, and my man Patrick will play those selections for us on midweek movie music, and we're supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to exactly what the featured film is for midweek movie music, and pretty obvious. Yeah. Old school.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It is old school. Yes.
Yeah, I should have got it with the second one, honestly.
Oh, the second one is when they're abducting
Yeah.
all the pledges and they're kidnapping all the pledges.
I
That's
was
in the
gonna say,
van.
in the van.
So they were racing, and it is a Will
And
Ferrell
there is
movie.
drug use in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have got it with
That's
the
why I
second
said it's
one.
not a drug movie, but there is. I don't want to throw you that far off the scent.
No, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. This old school came out 20 years ago yesterday.
I like that. All right, well done there. Old school. Great. It was one of those great comedies. Like I'm glad they never attempted to do anything else with Old School. Just let
Yeah.
it lie.
This is good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Standalone.
Nobody expected it to be fantastic, but it was, and just let it go.
A lot of quotable stuff in there.
Yeah.
It was Will Ferrell in his prime.
Love it.
That was the key to
Yeah.
it. Will-
Love it.
Solid Vince Vaughn and Luke Wilson performances.
solid Vince Vaughn. You're right about that. Yeah.
We've all told
you
somebody
my boy,
earmuffs.
Blue. You my boy.
Vince Vaughn works well with both of the Wilsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's a
because
partner
When
of
he was with
theirs, man.
Owen Wilson, they got really good
Yeah.
comedic chemistry.
Yeah.
Whether it be,
I think they did too
Wedding
many movies together,
Crashers.
but
yeah,
because then they do it's like the internship or something.
They
Was
did
that one?
Google, like that
that
Google
one, and
movie?
that
Yeah,
was when you
that's
were
that-
like,
yeah.
all right, we
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
it, guys. We've seen this movie before.
I actually enjoyed the Google, but I just like them together. That's really what it is. Probably has nothing to do with the plot of the Google movie, whatever it is. All right, that's my man Patrick doing a great job as the Idealionaire. So Old School is the movie for midweek movie music. You can always be a part of the show, 512-337-3776. You guys got it a long time ago.
Yeah.
So,
You my boy,
you
Blue.
guys are a lot
Yeah,
smarter
by the
than
way,
us
that
when it comes
first
to
one
stuff.
is the song that plays the beginning of the movie.
That's what I figured.
So
I
like
was
when he's leaving, when Luke Wilson's coming back home to find his wife in bed with however many other people, that at the beginning of the movie, that's the song he's playing. So I'm like, you get it, but unless you saw the movie recently, you weren't going to get it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a while, but I have seen that movie multiple times.
multiple times.
Do love me some
That's
Old
the
School,
missus'
man.
favorite. She loves that movie.
Yeah, no, it is
Yeah.
it's a really good movie, man. No doubt about it. All right, we'll get back to some more selections from Old School for midweek movie music. I want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys a
Why,
little
Rod?
bit. Well, because they're in the news again. I only talk about stuff that's in the news. I don't try to force feed you guys stuff. If it's in the news, we'll talk about it. Now, yesterday, Mike Fisher said that the Cowboys definitely have interest in C.J. Stroud. Now, C.J. Stroud is considered one of the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft. Will probably be drafted in the top 5, if not, higher than that. But he, top 10 at the lowest. But he'll be gone way before the Cowboys are winning the draft, unless they're willing to move up to go get him. And they got a lot of issues in terms of Dak Prescott and their commitment to Dak if they're going to do that. But he just said they have interest in him, and I like that. I think it's healthy to have interest. Even though they're committed to Dak, I don't think there's anything wrong with, like I said, a lot of you guys out there are in relationships. You're married. Hey, your eyes still work. All right, you're married. You're not dead. All right, so you can still look. There's nothing wrong with looking. And as Cowboys looking at different quarterbacks, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's pretty healthy. So them liking C.J. Stroud doesn't mean they're going to do anything. They just like him.
Right.
Now, this next report I think is a little bit more realistic, in terms of the Cowboys may have interest in the quarterback and may decide to act upon that interest. And not saying they won't act on the C.J. Stroud thing, but man, that's risking it all. If
Yeah.
they want C.J. Stroud that bad, and maybe they do, and they really like him, they got to risk it all. They got to find a way to move Dak around with that contract. Then they got to draft capital to move all the way up to go get C.J. Stroud, and they have to move way up for the Cowboys. That's a lot to ask. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the fact that they like him, but I don't think it's unrealistic right now.
Yeah.
This report, though, is a lot more realistic. So this report comes from, I believe, I'll make sure I get the guy's name right. I want to make sure I give him credit. Ryan Fowler of Draft Network. All right, so Draft Network's Ryan Fowler. So draft season, I mean, this is their guy. This is their Super Bowl season. He says, he tweeted out, Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker has met extensively with the Raiders, Panthers, Giants, Saints, and Cowboys during the pre-draft process.
I like that. I
Per
like
source.
Hendon Hooker. I think
Yeah.
he's a developmental type
Yes,
of
no
quarterback,
question.
somebody that we can talk about and see. He's coming off of an injury. He'll be coming off of that injury. which is why he ended up not playing the end of the season. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had ACL surgery. So it's going to be a little while. So that means he may fall in the draft to some later rounds. You're not You're not going after a first-round pick at that point. And I'm not opposed to that because I think his upside is something that you can look at. Because remember, before he got hurt, he was in the Heisman Trophy conversation.
That is true. You said that. We talked about this yesterday. We talked about this earlier this week for some reason. I don't know when we were getting into it.
And I was like, this dude is in the mix. He was in the conversation.
We'll also point out, 25 years old. So a little bit older for a starting quarterback that's a developmental guy as well, to take into effect of why he might slip further in the draft.
He's going to definitely follow and then he could be that guy where if something were to happen with Dak, and we've seen it happen multiple years, and I know everybody wants to be Cooper Rush, but I'm telling you right now, this dude's arm is a cannon. He can throw that thing. So Hendon Hooker, that is. So I'm cool with that because it'll be a later round pick. To Patrick's point of him being that age, it kind of changes the way you're looking at it and saying, oh, we need to go up and get a guy like that. Yeah. No, you can wait a little bit. But there's some other guys that are out there, to look at.
Yeah, I don't know where exactly his draft value is. I haven't done that much research on him.
From what I've looked up, he's a day 3 guy is what most people are saying.
All right.
So unless someone really, really likes him, he will probably be between rounds 4 and 7.
And I don't know where he is in terms of his recovery from his injury.
Right.
So
He's supposed to be ready.
Yeah, so I'm sure he'll be working out pro days and stuff like that.
Supposed to be ready for beginning of season, but probably not. You can't do a ton before that.
So that'll determine a lot of his draft stock too. But I agree with Harge. Developmental project pretty much for Hendon Hooker for the Cowboys, which I like. I like the thought of them drafting a developmental project at quarterback. Now they still got to figure out backup. He wouldn't be, I don't think, the immediate option for backup quarterback.
No, especially if he's coming off that injury.
Exactly, right? So Cooper Rush is a free agent. So you actually do need to go figure out who your backup quarterback is. Now, you could just re-sign Cooper Rush if you really like him.
Yep.
But Cooper Rush may be a little expensive for a backup quarterback, considering he's 5-1 now and he's feeling himself as a starter. He's
like, I need to go out there and try to see what my luck looks like.
And Kellen Moore probably.
You will not be a starter, bro.
No, he won't be a starter, but Kellen Moore. But as a backup, backups are now more coveted than they ever have been in the history of the NFL. And now everybody's finally starting to figure out that. And I've said this for years, if the quarterback position is the most valuable position in football, then the backup position is insurance on that starting quarterback position. And yet, everything valuable in our life, we have insurance on: house, car, health, whatever. And for quarterback, people haven't figured it out. Your backup quarterback position, you need to prioritize. It needs to be really high because these days, we're starting to see more and more of those quarterbacks play crucial snaps and starts. Hell, in the playoffs, we had like 4 backup quarterbacks playing.
Yep.
You had Brock Purdy playing, Skylar Thompson playing. Was it Anthony Brown for the Ravens? He was playing. Hell, Josh Johnson even got a damn snap in the playoffs. You having more backup quarterbacks playing than ever before.
Hey, if somebody else signs Josh Johnson, we need to take them away from being able to pick somebody else
Getting back to the point about you need viable backup quarterback. Josh Johnson being recycled over and over again. All right?
I'm glad to see it from my man, but good gracious.
Better options than Josh freaking Johnson. There was an NFL record 68 different starting quarterbacks in 2022. How about this? Only 8 quarterbacks started all 17 games.
Right.
8. Now, that is with the exception of Josh Allen and Joe Burrow only starting 16 because of the DeMar Hamlin thing where they suspended the game and they never played again.
Right.
That would still only make 10 quarterbacks that played 100% of their team snaps. That would be the lowest in the 32-team era.
Wow.
You need a backup.
Wow.
And you need one that is pretty damn good that can win you a ball game or 2. Patrick Mahomes damn near had to. Hey, he did have to have the backup come in. Forgot about that, right?
Yeah.
Chad, and he came in for like a drive.
Yeah.
Like a 90,
till halftime. 98-yard drive. Yeah, I believe so.
So I don't know what the Cowboys are going to do there, but they do need to figure out the backup quarterback position. But I love that they're just pursuing or at least interested in quarterbacks, period. As I brought up yesterday, they've drafted the fewest amount of quarterbacks, or at least tied for drafting the fewest amount of quarterbacks in the NFL with Indy. And I think Kansas City is in that conversation. those two franchises have been a little bit more stable, and it's been less luck associated with their stability than the Cowboys, with the undrafted free agent Romo being a franchise quarterback, and then Dak Prescott, the happy accident. So I like that now the Cowboys are deciding we're going to prioritize quarterback, period. And by the way, they're pretty damn good at it when they do.
Yeah.
Dak was a hit. They drafted Mike White. Hell, that was a success story in my opinion, considering where they drafted the guy. And when they do have undrafted free agents, Cooper Rush, that was a good one. Yep. Tony Romo, undrafted free agent was a good one. They should start acquiring more quarterbacks. They're actually pretty good at it.
They need to go with the John Gruden approach. Get a bunch of them. Just get a bunch of them and weed them out as we go. Just make sure that you have a plethora of quarterbacks to choose from. Look, here's the deal. Cowboys are going to end up having to get a quarterback. We've talked about that. It's something that needs to be done. But don't go crazy with the position as far as where you're going to pick one up at. Because there's other needs that you have to go get straightened out first.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing for me. Let's just make sure we do that. But, yes, I'm into that thought process. I don't know if we're going to get one of those high-quality ones, but there may be some sleepers that are out there. We had somebody come up to us yesterday while we were out at Mudbugs, and they brought up the name Jake Haener from Fresno State. They said that is somebody that we should be paying attention to because he did put up some decent numbers, and he's very accurate as a passer, especially now that you start looking at what is the plan with Mike McCarthy. How is he going to go about his play calling? So that will be another factor that you need to look in, especially going into this draft, especially if you plan on keeping Mike McCarthy as your head coach. I think he's definitely going to have something to say about it.
It's a good point, too. I wonder if Mike McCarthy prefers a certain player at that backup position.
Right.
You want a veteran? You want somebody that's going to help out Dak Prescott a little bit? You want somebody that's going to be able to win you a game or two?
Right.
That would be really interesting. You know what? I think a name that's out there, because I want to say I heard this name with the Texans. Jacoby Brissett, I believe, might be available. Kind of a random backup that's been out there that's won some games.
How about Colt McCoy?
Colt McCoy's a good one, too.
New coaching staff.
I like the
new
Colt
mentality.
McCoy. I like the Colt McCoy.
I think Colt is definitely somebody that I've been eyeing him from afar for a while.
I like that.
Staff. I know Irsay's a fan of his, but he also didn't look great this last season, so he may be a free agent come the start of the season.
I like that too. That's not bad. Yeah, I mean, you probably have more quality quarterbacks in recent years available via free agency and trade than we've seen in really any time in NFL history.
No
It's
doubt.
just the way that now the landscape's working out and kind of the new current ecosystem, if you will, for free agency in the NFL. Anyway, getting back to some other topics, and Cowboy related, but also Texans related too. Daniel Jeremiah had his mock draft, his most recent mock draft he put out there. And the Texans, I'll start with the Texans, then we can talk about Cowboys too. Texans have 2 picks early on in the first round. The number 2 overall pick. He didn't have any trades or anything. He just has them slotted where they currently stand. And he has the Texans taking Bryce Young at number 2. He's got the Chicago Bears taking Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia, with the number 1 overall pick. Texans get, if it's that easy, they get Bryce Young at number 2 overall. It would be great if it's that simple. I fear it's not going to be that simple. I fear there's going to be some team that makes a run to trade for the number 1 overall pick to get a quarterback. And, I would fear that for the Texans. So the Texans may need to try to trade up. But Bryce Young is the guy that I've heard they're interested in. But if they get C.J. Stroud, if Bobby Slowick, the new offensive coordinator, decides that C.J. Stroud is more compatible with his offense than Bryce Young, I'm not going to be mad at that. I can't be upset with that because that's just a coaching decision. Bryce Young he is an outlier.
Mm-hmm.
He is an outlier. You don't have quarterbacks as light as he is and as short as he is drafted number 1 overall. It just doesn't happen very often. And coaches will often tell you, or at least scouts will often tell you, don't draft outliers.
Right.
You know what I mean? You want to go with something that's pretty proven. I love the stat that was given by, I believe it was from the Athletic. Dane Brugler, I believe, gave the stat. Of 301 quarterbacks drafted in the last 25 years, only 2 were under 6 foot and under 200 pounds. And neither were drafted in the top 100.
Wow.
That's the outlier we're talking about Bryce Young. But I love him. I'm a big Bryce Young fan, so you can't get mad, though. My point is I always say choosing a quarterback is like choosing a significant other. The woman you marry is not the hottest woman you ever dated. They're the one that was most compatible with you. If he deems that C.J. Stroud is more compatible with his offense than Bryce Young, then as a Texans fan, I have to accept that.
Yeah. What if he takes Will Levis?
Then I'm going to throw a fit like my man Harsh did when the Cowboys drafted Tyler Smith. And hopefully I'm wrong like you were when they drafted Tyler Smith.
No, I agree with you. I go, if they draft C.J. Stroud instead of Bryce Young in that same position, I will say the word would not be mad. I'd be skeptical, but
like
not
that.
mad. I'd be skeptical because I go, in my opinion, that wasn't the right choice, but I will give you full chance to prove me wrong.
Yep, I'm with you. That's a good point. I love the way you put that. Skeptical if they do it, but I have to have faith in that coaching staff that DeMeco Ryans is building, and I have to have faith that DeMeco Ryans signed off on it.
Right.
So I'm going to trust the coaches on that one, and hopefully they did the right thing. But I think
Canacero will have the final say, guys.
Yeah, you're right about that. He will. That's a good point, too.
He's going to draft a offensive tackle.
He's done. Cacero's done a decent job actually in the draft. Of his first 2 drafts.
Yeah, he has.
Last year was a really good draft.
Yeah, he did.
And the year before that was a pretty good draft. So Cacero's done a decent job in the draft.
I'm going to bring up Sauce Gardner again. Every time you say he's done done good, he's not done great.
I was saying he's done a good job. Not great. No, not great, but he's done a good job. The Texans also have the 12th overall pick, and they have the Texans taking Jordan. At least Daniel Jeremiah does. The Texans taking Jordan Addison with the 12th overall pick, wide receiver out of USC.
So that means he's jumped.
It
means he's jumped Quentin Johnston.
In this
one, for him.
In here, yes, because he does not. That's the first receiver he's got off the board.
Yeah, I don't. And as I scroll down, I don't really see him. Oh, there he goes. He has Quentin Johnston going to the Chargers.
Yes, 21st overall pick. He's got Bijan Robinson going to the Bucks at 19. Yes, my sentiments exactly.
Hey,
that's one of the.
It'll work out if Tom Brady was coming back.
There you go. But right now, there are only a few situations I think where Bijan Robinson can kind of disappear into a black hole of mediocrity in the NFL.
And that's one of them.
The Bucs are one of those teams.
Especially if they're drafting running backs in the first round of the draft with so many other holes on that team. You couldn't win with Tom Brady, and you're like, no, we'll fix it when Tom Brady leaves. We'll get a running back.
You're right. He's supposed to be a luxury pick. Bijan's a luxury pick in the first round. That's why the Eagles are scary. The Bills are scary.
The Bills are the ones that I'm looking at.
Bills are
for
scary
them. I
with
think
him,
that
man.
they drafted backs. They drafted Cook last year. But again, we've talked about Bijan, and everybody's talked about Bijan. How he is that, what do you call him, that X factor?
He is. He's a force multiplier.
Yeah,
man.
force multiplier.
He's a freak, man.
Yeah, he's a guy that can definitely change not only your performance on the field, the off the field stuff. He can be the face of your organization for whatever it is you want him to do because he's that dude.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens. I know they have the Ravens taking Brian Branch, the cornerback from Alabama. Ravens and running backs. I know it sounds crazy, but even if they keep Lamar or they get rid of Lamar, either one, Bijan helps.
And J.K. Dobbins is the reason why, because he's been getting hurt.
Yes, right.
Yep.
And you bring in a new quarterback. What's the best, the best friend for a new quarterback, training wheels for a new quarterback, whoever it's going to be.
Running game.
Great running game like Bijan, who can break more tackles than any other running back, or at least in the draft class than any other running back.
And I mean, if you get rid of Lamar Jackson, you're most likely for this season keeping Tyler Huntley as your quarterback, or trying to keep Tyler Huntley, considering he did make the Pro Bowl, and I know it's because 95 other quarterbacks backed out of it, but he was a Pro Bowl quarterback this year.
Yeah.
Wow. I know that's crazy to say.
Yeah, because he got hurt too before the playoffs.
Yes.
I forget about that.
But Tyler Huntley has played really well for them as a backup quarterback, and so he would probably. But that runs the same offense. So now I know it's a different.
But
we have a different guy, but it's still similar
yeah.
skill sets to Lamar Jackson. That you're going to say, hey, whatever Monken was going to put for Lamar Jackson, he can put with Tyler Huntley as well.
Bijan makes sense for the Ravens either way.
Yes.
Yeah. He makes sense for them whether they're keeping Lamar or not. So that's something else to watch out for. Cowboys. He's got your Cowboys, Arch, taking Keon White, Georgia Tech edge rusher. Yeah, I know. I had the same kind of feeling about that one, but Dan Quinn.
I need
must
you to
be
get
involved in that pick. Dan Quinn's.
Well, if that were to happen, you would say okay. But
what do you want?
I haven't seen Georgia Tech play that good of defense? Is he the one is he the one outstanding?
That's they won.
One?
That's they won.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm looking more at the defensive back. I'm looking for the Cowboys to go get a defensive back.
You want a what do you want?
I want a
or
corner.
Okay.
I want a corner. I'm not looking at a safety just yet because I think they still signed Hooker. I think he's going to be back.
They got
there
Hooker and Curse through 2023.
So I'm good with that. They may let Donovan Wilson walk, but I think you need to go get a corner because that's been our conversation the entire year. Once Anthony Brown got hurt, everything kind of changed.
That's true, but it's a good point.
Are you going to keep Anthony Brown? Are you going to pay him? We don't know. See, that's the thing. So if you go and get the draft, you don't have to spend that money. But news did come out of Miami that they're getting rid of Byron Jones. So do you bring him back and you can write your own piece?
That's a good point.
So there's another part of that. I wish they get rid of Cedric Wilson so he could come back here as well. So if we can get the band back together.
That's a good
And
point,
see
though.
what we can have happen. So with him being out, being a free agent, if Cowboys make a run at him, they don't have to spend that much money because I think he's already shown that he wasn't as effective in Miami as they thought he was going to be after he got his big payday.
Deron Bland's ascent is going to play a big
slide
role.
him in.
Yeah, because they really like him and he played well. He played really
and you don't
well.
know what's going to happen with Jordan Lewis yet either.
Man, you got Jordan Lewis coming back. Great point, forgetting about that too. And with the Cowboys, they got Donovan Wilson. They got to figure that one out.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I'll get into that Donovan Wilson thing later on too, because I hate to say it, I think the Cowboys might need to let him walk.
Yeah.
They got so much other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Michael Parsons coming up.
That's what I'm saying. There's
Trevon
a lot of
Diggs
money out
coming
there.
up. They got a lot of money they're going to pay coming up. I don't know.
That's why Jared was losing his mind. This was my window. If you win, then you don't mind paying.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you don't
know
mind
what I'm
paying
saying?
if you know. Yeah.
We're going to pay that cap money. We don't care.
All right, what you got coming up for the people on Harsh Knock
I'm going
Life?
to talk a little bit about this coming weekend. I know we had Kyle Peterson on yesterday talking a little bit about it, but there's some local flavor that will be in the Round Rock Carbach Classic at the Dale Diamond this weekend. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
All right, can't wait to get into it. More Hardball with Hardball coming up for Harsh Knock Life on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Football season is over, but no need to be down in the dumps. You can keep the excitement alive over at MyBookie. If you're tired of losing and tired of the same old betting experience, you can upgrade your betting experience right now with MyBookie, which is the premier destination for online sports betting. Whether you bet to earn money or you're betting just make the games more exciting, either way, MyBookie gives you the most bang for your buck with their redesigned deposit bonus just in time for March Madness. Just use the promo code HORN, HORN, to receive a bonus instantly to your MyBookie account. That's the promo code HORN, HORN, to receive your bonus. There's no shortage of games to choose from at MyBookie, and there's so many different ways for you to win. It's the best time of the year for you to hammer the overs. With every player out there looking to make a name for themselves, you know it's a great time to also hammer the player props. It's a great way for you to find the good edge so you can win big over at MyBookie. With so many brands to choose from, you need a platform that makes it simple to bet and easy to use and easy to win like MyBookie. Bet anything, bet anytime, and bet anywhere. As long as you're betting with MyBookie, you're betting with the best.
Welcome back to a midweek movie theme edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy Hardball Hard, and the midweek movie theme was Old School. You my boy, Blue. You my boy, Blue. Don't forget, we're going streaking down the quad. Who's going with me? Yeah, we had a great time with that. My man Patrick does a great job. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Hard. You can follow my man Rod Babers at Rod Babers. And you can follow my man Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis. We love it when you're a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. And earlier in the show, we were talking a little bit about families, legacies that ended up playing at the University of Texas. We're just doing Texas as the theme for right now, but I'm sure there's other places, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the Round Rock Classic that is going to be going on. That's going to be presented by Carpot, and you can watch it on D1Baseball.com. That's D1Baseball.com. It'll be on that streaming. I'll be a part of the telecast this weekend, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And the number one team in the nation is obviously the LSU Tigers. They always travel well, so it's going to be fun to watch those guys play. Iowa will be coming in, the Hawkeyes, K-State, Wildcats from the Big 12, and Sam Houston. But I wanted to give a shout-out to some of the local players that will be playing in this game and in this weekend. Cash Rugeley, who I know that kid since he was 6 years old. I coached his older brother. He'll be playing for K-State, strong, powerful hitter. He went to Cedar Ridge. So when we're doing our flex, these are some of the players that we would have been talking about. Lawson Knight, he plays outfield for them. He's from Round Rock High School, so there's another player that'll be there. Sam Houston has two players, Jack Driscoll, who went to Stony Point, and Jalen Williams, who also went to Stony Point. So make sure you get out there and kind of support some of these local kids. I know there's a bunch of baseball that'll be going on this weekend as well. High school baseball, high school playoffs are going on. I got a text a little while ago. The Raising Cane's Central Texas First Pitch Classic will be starting tomorrow as well. There'll be games played at Georgetown, Round Rock, McNeil, Cedar Ridge, Cedar Park, and Stony Point. So if you like baseball, you're going to get your fill this weekend. And I want everybody to try to get out there and see it. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this too. I'm not going to go too much into what's going to be happening at the Dale Diamond. I want you guys to get out there and come and check out some of that talent because remember Paul Skeens, the right-handed pitcher that pitched for Air Force? He came in last year, big power hitter, also played catcher. He touched 99 already this year. So his first pitch of the game was 99. His 98th pitch of the game was 98 miles an hour.
Wow.
This guy is unbelievable. And the fact that he pitched 98 pitches already this year is something that I'm like, oh, he's very well conditioned when it came to this kind of stuff. But I wanted to talk about for the Texas Rangers. I was giving my man Marcus Semien a very hard time last year.
I remember this.
Like, it was so bad that my man I was like, they just gave this guy so much money. And here he is underperforming, making it look bad for everybody that's out there, and he needs to get it going. Well, he did get it going at the end of the year. He's probably one of the hottest hitters in baseball at the very end of the year. And from opening day to May 27th, Marcus hit 193. He had an OPS of 498.
Exactly.
He didn't hit for power, didn't hit for average, wasn't really part of the success or lack thereof that the Rangers were having. And I did the same with Corey Seager, the shortstop. They spent all this money on this guy, and here he is struggling. But there was reasons for all of that. Well, as the time has gone, I went back and did some more research, and I found out that my man Marcus Semien, during spring training in February of 22, he was serving as on the executive subcommittee representing the Major League Players Association in negotiations so we can have all the rules that are there now for them.
Okay.
So he was negotiating for the minor leaguers. He was negotiating for the big leaguers. He was the one that was spending more time in meetings instead of seeing pitching, instead of working out just as much as he needed to, and things were not what they seemed. So as this has happened and you realize, just like anything else and just like us as players, we get better with the more reps that we get. You get to see more pitching. You get to see different approaches at the play. You get to go play in different ballparks. There was so much that was happening that I underestimated what he was going through trying to prepare for the season as well as trying to prepare for everyone to get what they wanted in the collective bargaining agreement. So with that being said, I would like to apologize to my man Marcus Semien.
Wow.
I needed to get that apology out the way because I will be in spring training in a couple weeks as well. And just in case I run into him,
Put it on the record.
I wanted to put it on the record.
Damn
and,
right.
I won't be afraid to let him know, dog, you struggled early, and now I understand why. But looking at this Texas Ranger baseball team, I know we talk a lot about the Houston Astros.
Go Stros.
And rightfully so. They are the World Series champion, and they have spent a lot of time playing for championships. The Rangers had their opportunity, and they let it slip out of their hands. But during the offseason, they made a lot of acquisitions. They went out and got some big arms that were needed to kind of fill in those gaps that they were missing part of the season last year. Because the only person we kept talking about last year was Martin. Martin was their only pitcher, and he ended up making the All-Star game. But now they brought in DeGrom, what's his name, Navaldi from Alvin, Texas, that he's a big-time pitcher. So now you have Nathan Uvalde. Sorry about that. Jake Odorizzi. Odorizzi's back, Patrick. We'll be talking about him all year. They're going to make some changes. And now they're going to be in a better spot than where they were before. So I wanted to make sure that I gave them their proper due because spring training is here. They're going to have a full time to get ready. There's not going to be any more excuses. They struggled at the beginning of the year last year because Josh Young was supposed to be their starting third baseman. He got hurt, spent some time in Round Rock, and now he's ready, healthy at spring training. So they expect him to be their starting third baseman. So the Rangers team is in a totally different spot than what they were. And me spending some time this past weekend in Globe Life, they are very excited about this coming season because they honestly believe that they'll have a chance to compete this year.
Yeah, it can't be worse than last year.
It definitely cannot be worse. They are not going to be rock bottom.
Definitely on the way up.
Oh, and the biggest acquisition of them all is that they went and got manager Bruce Bochy to come in to be the head guy and calm the waters there. They had some other other coaches that have been there, managers that have been there, but Bruce Bochy, with his track record, being a former player, being somebody that's been around the game as long as he has, he can try to get these guys over the hump and have them battling. Shout out to also the Vanderbilt pitchers that were being talked about this weekend, Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. They all have a chance to get their opportunity. They may be here. They may be here to start the year pitching in AAA. So get your tickets now over there for the Round Rock Express.
Nice. Yeah, you working this weekend.
And I will be working
Calling games this weekend.
That's right.
And Texas next, we say LSU?
Texas next home game will be this Friday.
I know they're saying that LSU is going to be in town, though.
Next Tuesday.
For that.
Yeah.
And then they'll be playing LSU
That's right.
next Tuesday. So
Tuesday
LSU is going to stay in town.
Oh,
I'm
for
assuming.
Sure.
They're just going to stay
they're going to party. You know
in
that.
Central Texas. So you're going to be seeing a lot of LSU folks just hanging around. Because
I expect a lot of RVs and fried gator out there in the outfield this weekend. In the parking lot.
You can recommend mud bugs for them.
Exactly.
They need some spot to go.
For shizzle.
All right, talking a lot more baseball later on the show, talking about Texas baseball with a big win over A&M Corpus Christi. We'll also dive into Texas men's basketball. We'll do that at the top of the 5 o'clock. But on the other side, we'll get into off the record. We got a few topics, so a bit of a smorgasbord, you will, of off the record topics right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104 on the Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friends over at Iron Workers Local Union 482 because they've been helping shape this beautiful city for a long time. We all love Austin, but thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Iron Workers Local Union 482, it's become one of the most beautiful cities in the country. You see the labors of their love all over this great city and iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Iron Workers Local Union 482. They've been helping shape the city for a long time, since 1935. And like I said, they don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member of Iron Workers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. They're hiring over 3,000 people right now for a huge project. That's right, over 3,000 people for a huge project. So right now, reach out to my good friends over at Iron Workers Local Union 482, and you can take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of this great city. Maximize your potential and be your best self today by applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to another edition of Off the Record right here on Ball Don't Lie. There are a couple of stories that I want to get to here. This is good news, I think, for all the guys out there. This comes from Men's Health Magazine. Apparently, there's been an extensive study done by World Journal of Men's Health. It's a serious study. All right, serious stuff here, people. It is. That's something I just made up, menshealth.com, and then I gave you the actual medical journal, the World Journal of Men's Health. All right, got to be published in these things. And the study was led by Michael Eisenberg, a medical doctor. He's a urology professor at Stanford Medicine. This guy knows his stuff. So he's done
This I hope you're not leading me somewhere, dude, because you're giving out way too much love.
It's
Okay.
a credential.
Okay,
This is highly credentialed work. I'm
Okay.
just saying, very respectable stuff. So he's done extensive study, and he did compiled data and studied it over 75 different studies compiled from 1942 to 2021, and what he found was the average size of a man's junk has increased 24% over the last 3 decades across the globe.
I knew it.
Everybody, like
knew it.
all men across the globe. 24% over the last 3 decades. That's my life. That's my lifetime. To 24%? That's a huge increase. What the? So they're trying to figure out what's going on. Why are men's stuff just, is it evolution?
It is
Is-
definitely
is evolution, I
I think
guess?
that's one way of putting it.
That's amazing. They said they studied over 55,000 men all over the world.
I think it's the
Going-
hormones they put in the church's chicken.
Different. They said they did measurements, guys. 55,000 men all over the world. This is legit stuff. Stanford Medicine, all right, World Journal of Men's Health, and they found 24% increase. And I think this is when you're at attention. Just so I don't,
So
in
what
case
you're,
y'all were wondering.
so what you're telling me is that men have started to lie more.
Even more than what they already do, right?
That's probably true. That is fair. I hope they're not just asking the guys.
Asking guys, like, what is it? I don't know, 14 feet? I don't.
Yeah, that's a good point. They definitely just need to be measuring themselves because, guys, we all know men lie up, women lie down. That is not a sexist comment. Men just lie up about how much you weigh, how much you lift, how many women you slept with, how endowed you are, all that kind of stuff. Women, they lie down about their age, about their weight, about how many men they slept with. We lie different ways. All right, men gonna lie up about their stuff.
Yeah, for real.
And maybe that's why 24%. Actually, in the last 29 years, 24% increase. Love that. It was concluded that the average length increased. That's fantastic.
If it doesn't have the phrase "on a good day," I don't believe it. Yeah. every man's described it. Well, on a good day,
I'm
on
like
a good
6'2".
day,
I'm like 6'2".
That's why a lot of manscaping going. That's why you need to manscape. Get every inch counts.
My
But,
man Ike
hey,
said, "Where did I miss the 24% junk bonus?"
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. I'm like, in a 30,
You were
30
grown.
years.
You were born too early. That's what it was. You were born too early.
I think I got a little piece of it. I'm 80s, baby. Got a little
I'm
piece
a
of that.
80s
I got a
baby.
little piece of that, man. A little piece of that. A little piece. All I needed was a little bit. That's crazy. 24. There you go, guys. So,
Hey, Patrick,
feel better.
I knew the way he was breaking
You
it
knew I
down,
knew something.
and he was giving us so many details about who wrote the article,
Just telling you,
how
man.
this was supposed to be.
They did this in a lab with
They did.
lab coats.
I'm just saying, y'all.
They did a thorough study.
It was a thorough study. It's pretty expansive,
How
man.
thorough?
Oh, my
like,
goodness.
1942. That's a long time. They did a long study.
The most thorough, the
pun
most
intended.
thorough still involves a dude holding a ruler.
Pretty much.
Like,
Yeah.
That's why they're at Home Depot.
can you imagine? Man, what are conversations at dinner like with the wife after a day of that?
I don't know. That's a
You
good point.
you
I
just
don't
walk
know.
home and you're like, "How was work?" You're like, "Well, you know what I do for a living, honey." So not great.
This man has dedicated his life to this, and you're gonna mock
So you think
it.
he enjoys it?
Dr. Michael Eisenberg? You know
Oh,
what?
and his name is Michael.
Michael
Oh,
Eisenberg.
man.
Yeah, and you know what? Good for him. Is that I'm glad he's doing this.
He's trying to help.
He's also studying male fertility and sexual function.
Yep.
So he's studying a lot of different things. This is just part of his very expansive study. He wanted to look at it's going to be a point in the man's life. I don't give a damn what your sexual orientation is, gender, whatever. Like what you decide to do with all that, you're going to measure it. So it's going to happen. The young man's going to break out a ruler at one point.
this
He's gonna
dude-
be like, you know what? Let me check this thing
At
out. Let me get it
13 years
official.
old.
It's true.
Let me get this official.
At 13 years old, this dude found his life's call and he was like, "You know what? I'm going to prove that I'm average. Listen, I've studied for years to give women scientific data that I'm not that bad, and it turns out in the last 30 years, I've gone from average to bad. I didn't know what happened, but somewhere in there went off.
Yeah, hey, they didn't give me. I'm sure I can find it if I wanted to. Like what the average size is. They don't get into that. They just said over the last 30 years, 24% increase. So I think we should applaud that. This is reason to be happy.
Why?
Yeah,
I don't
what do you
care
mean?
about kids being better off than me. I ain't got no kids.
I'm gonna have kids one day, so I'm happy if I have a son.
I ain't got
It's
no
gonna be
kids.
24% larger than dad on average.
Hey.
If you told me it was
I
getting
got
smaller,
2 boys. I got 2 boys.
tell me it's getting smaller so I can be like, hey, you want to go with that young guy? You hear they're getting smaller.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I'd be happier. I know in like 50 years, I'd be an old man and be like, yeah, what is he, 30? I bet that thing's 2 inches.
Oh man! But they can't keep up with this increase. Cannot keep up this kind of pace.
Yep.
They say the next 60 years you're gonna be looking at. I mean, people walking around.
Yeah.
With some baby arms around here, man. This is just gonna be a weird population.
I can't even deal with you.
All right, we're gonna come back. We'll get into Texas men's basketball, Texas baseball. Also, both of them coming up victorious, big wins. No pun intended there. Overnight. We'll come back and talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about Dr. Greg Eckert and his wonderful team, because if you have any concerns about your dental health or your dental care, your dental hygiene, you need to reach out to Dr. Greg Eckert. Now, he specializes in any concerns you may have about your dental anxiety. He can help ease your dental anxiety. Also, general dentistry, any teeth whitening, dentures, porcelain crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy, whatever it takes to ensure you're getting the best quality dental care available. That's what Dr. Greg Eckert and his fantastic team are all about. Now, they call him Dr. U because it's Dr. Eckert with a U. Spell it with a U, but the U is appropriate because he's all about you. He's all about the patient, making sure you're getting the best quality dental care available. And right now, he can give you a brand new smile in just one day. It sounds too good to be true. It's not. It's just Dr. U. He can give you a brand new smile in just one day. No time spent without teeth. You get temporary fixtures until they can complete your permanent smile. And you'll smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. We're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced, call Dr. Greg Eckert today and learn about this complimentary consultation, but also a revolutionary alternative to dentures, a brand new smile in just one day. Give them a call, 512-345-3166. That's 512-345-3166, or visit dreckert.com, DRUECKERT.com.
I just wanted everybody to really feel that right there. I was waiting for that beat to hit, and this is the only beat that you got. That's right. Our mid-movie theme edition of Ball Don't Lie is old school. And Patrick, you said this is when he was working on the car in the driveway?
Yeah, this is when he's working on the car. It's like his old Trans Am or whatever. Yeah. Just trying to remember the 80s.
Yeah, he's just so awkward. He's so awkward in the conversation, too.
This is really like Will Ferrell coming out of like being a star.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a beat in.
This is so great. This is so great. This is so cool, the scene where he's doing that makes me laugh every time because I can actually see it when they're talking to each other and how he's like, oh, we're just going to hang out all weekend. I'm just going to work on my car. What do you got going on? That's right. Midweek movie theme, old school, and it just continues to get better as the songs keep going, too.
Frank the Tank?
Yeah, Frank the Tank. He's
Frank the
always
Tank.
chilling, man.
Yeah, Frank the Tank, legendary figure in comedies because of the character that Will Ferrell played, no doubt.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, no question. Shout out to my man Patrick with the old school for the midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. All right, we got to talk Texas men's basketball with a big win over Iowa State. We'll also talk Texas baseball, big win, first win of the season, but also their home opener, winning their home opener against A&M Corpus Christi, 12-2. So a really commanding statement win by them. Way to bounce back after an 0-3 start. So we'll get into that as well. You can be a part of the show. You're the most important part of it. Specs text line is the best way to do it. 512-337-3776. You also can reach out to us via Twitter. My man Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. All right, we want to start with Texas basketball. Very impressive win by Texas basketball.
Yep.
And we talked about it earlier in the show, but when you have that trio, that holy trinity of guards playing really well for Texas, which hasn't happened a lot all season long because Tyrese Hunter really hasn't held up his end of the bargain. But Serge Jabari Rice, Marcus Carr, and Tyrese Hunter, to me, that's the biggest storyline of the big win, 72-54 win for Texas over Iowa State. They were a ranked team, too, by the way. So, I mean, they bludgeoned a team that was ranked like that and had a really thorough, nearly complete game. It wasn't a complete game. They did have a lapse offensively in the second half there, but man, they showed offensively they can have a lot of different players contribute, but it started with that trio of guards in the first half. They had 43 combined together, Serge Jabari Rice, Marcus Carr, and Tyrese Hunter. 33 of those came in the first half where they did most of their damage and put the game away. And Harge, that's when we're talking about the ceiling of this team and how they can make a run the tournament. You're big on guard play being one of the biggest factors in tournament success. Texas' biggest advantage this year was they had 3 veteran, high-level, high-performing guards, and only 2 of those 3 have really been performing and trending in the right direction. Man, if you can get this type of performance from Tyrese Hunter consistently, along with what you've gotten from probably the best 6th man in the Big 12, maybe the best 6th man in the country with Serge Jabari Rice, and then Marcus Carr doing what Marcus Carr does, man, you are going to be a dangerous, lethal team in the tournament, and you're definitely going to have a chance to close out and win this league, which is the toughest conference in the country.
Yeah, you're talking about it, and you start thinking about you brought up the 6th man, Serge Jabari Rice, but you can add the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th right now because of the way that they played coming off the bench last night. And Texas's bench has been one of the top in the country. They've been definitely doing it, and it's led by Serge Jabari Rice. But to your point about Tyrese Hunter, he converted 5 of 9 of his field goals, 3 of 5 from three-point range. But to Patrick, what Patrick was talking about earlier, he was moving well without the basketball, and he was getting a couple little layups. He did a backdoor cut. I mean, it was something to be seen, and the energy in which he played with. Yes, he played a little bit better here and there, and he played with decent energy. But last night, he played with great energy. And as we've all talked about, you see a little bit of success, and then all of a sudden things kind of take off for you. We've been waiting. He's been fighting through some injuries. He talked about that as well. He ended up hurting his wrist at the end of the game, but he said he's going to be fine, and he's got some time off this week to be ready to go against Baylor this Saturday at 1 p.m. But you sit there and you look at how they meshed last night. And the biggest part of what happened to create that lead, it was the fact that they forced 11 turnovers in the first 20 minutes of the game.
Yep.
That is huge. and you converted to 21 points. That is what the game is all about, and that is something that I want to see them continue to do. Now, you're not going to be able to force that many turnovers that early in the game in every game, but when you do and it starts to see that run downhill of it and your team is taking advantage of it, Coach Terry can be just happy as he could be watching his team play yesterday. I also want to give a shout-out to Coach Terry, 15-5 since he's taken over, and they're also 5-0 in games against top 25 opponents in the Moody Center this year.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll give them
That's huge.
I don't know what they did during this week of workouts to get them ready to play basically between Saturday to Tuesday, but this team came out with an urgency that had been lacking in the last few games. To just come out and go, when you're talking about getting turnovers and playing the defense, everything, you can fundamentally do everything right. But if there's no urgency of, hey, man, look, we're only going to get so many opportunities during this game, they're going to hit shots.
Yeah.
Gabe Kalsch's going to hit threes on us. They're going to, that's going to happen. And if we're not in a position to control the lead, so when those happen, we're able to just go, oh, yeah, they got it back to 14. Let's push it back out again. Yep. If it's, now we're down 3, it's a big difference. So they played with an urgency to start the game where they were able to play and then play with purpose to where you don't let that urgency make you have all the turnovers.
Yep.
Where a lot of teams, when you start to try and play quicker, you turn the ball over, you go, no, everything we're doing for a reason. We know what to do. We know how we're supposed to do it. So when you start to play these better opponents, when you're going to play a Baylor who's really good and a Kansas who's really good, TCU is really good too, but they're not exactly the same on defense. There's going to be a whole different problem of trying to control them on offense.
Yeah.
But playing Baylor and Kansas defensively, you're going to have your issues of, even when you're doing everything right, you're going to have turnovers and you're going to miss shots. But you still need to keep up that urgency and purpose because that is how you can continue to win going down the stretch of this season.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it is. It's amazing that they had so many different guys able to contribute. I brought up Brock Cunningham earlier in the show because he was a great example of someone who now has always been someone who added juice to the lineup. Always been someone who's been able to add a different element of energy to the lineup. Most of it's been defensively. He's kind of a junkyard dog for you. But in this game, offensively, at least in this season, I should say, offensively, he's been able to add a lot more, contribute a lot more when he's in the game. And I brought up my man Matt Butler earlier, had a great stat via Twitter. You can go check it out for yourself. But he was responding to Nick Moyo, who brought up that Brock Cunningham was plus 25 in his 23 minutes last night. Plus 227 this season, 4th best mark in the Big 12 behind Grady Dick and Marcus Carr and also Jabari Rice. They're at plus 232 and plus 246 for the season. 2 of those guys come off the bench for Texas. Right. Getting back to your original point, Harge, about how strong Texas is when they bring in those guys off the bench and when they're playing with some of their secondary units, they're really good because those guys are playing at a really high level. And then my man Matt Butler added that for the season, net rating for Brock Cunningham plus 42.3, meaning Texas outscores opponents 140 to 97.6 per 100 possessions with Brock on the court. Last year, also pretty damn good. Plus 41.4 net rating, outscoring opponents 132 to 90.6 per 100 possessions with Brock on the court. So, he was obviously led the Longhorns in both of those seasons too. Yeah, he's been phenomenal for them coming back. But talk about leadership, and that's what you're going to need to step up in these stretch runs. Obviously coming down to conference play, but of course getting into postseason play.
Yeah, this is something that we've all been talking about, the energy that is needed each step of the way. This is some of the things that we've looked at when you put this team on the field. You're like, okay. I mean, on the field. On the court, I'm like, man, I've been thinking about
play like that. Brock Cunningham does play like he's on the field.
Yeah, he's definitely on a field. Yeah. I saw him yesterday dive for a ball and slid into the bench. I'm like, this dude is straight hustling all the time. So when you have a guy that can come in there that can ignite, especially playing at home, the fans love it when Brock gets into the game because they know that he is going to play hard. Not saying anybody else doesn't play hard, but his hard is a little bit different than your hard.
He raises the level.
You know what I'm saying? So, and he brings it out. And he's one of those guys that's just a flat-out pest. and he makes you feel uncomfortable the entire time.
You don't, if he's not playing on your team, you don't
Exactly.
like Brock Cunningham.
Not at all.
We only like Brock because he's playing for our team. I
No
would
doubt.
hate him for any other team.
No, and
Yeah.
Very Draymond Green-like in that respect.
Don't
Yeah.
compare him to the. Come on, come on.
Just saying.
No, but I like the fact of his offense improving, and we've seen it some with Arturo Morris. We've seen it with Dylan Mitchell, but we saw it a little bit starting out the year that there was a different emphasis on we're not confidence in shooting, where we're not going to pull you if you miss shots. We're going to pull you if you take bad shots.
I like that.
We're going to pull you if you're not doing the right thing on the court. But if you're just missing shots and you're open, we want you to take those shots because you need to hit them, and we trust you can. And especially since Rodney Terry's taken over, we've seen more of a longer leash on these guys to be like, look, we're not going to win unless you guys can contribute. So we need you to start taking them. And I think Jabari Rice, we've seen with Rodney Terry on the helm, that he is really feeling a lot more confident to take some riskier threes that he wasn't taking earlier in the season because he was more worried of, hey, man, and this is not just Chris Beard. This is most coaches. You get worried of, hey, if I take the shot, they're going to pull me if I miss it. And it's a 30% chance shot, and I think I can make it, but if I take it and it's guarded, they're going to pull me, and I don't want to get pulled because I don't want to get back
Playing
in.
scared.
Yep.
And now they're letting them go, and you're seeing the evidence of what happens when you're not playing scared and when you're playing that, hey, man, just go out there. If it's the right shot, we'll get you. If it's not, I will let you know immediately that you made the wrong decision. I may not even pull you. If you do it 2 times in a row, you're probably getting pulled. But he has let a lot of guys stay in games when they've taken riskier shots because they are the right shot, and because this team gets held up so much and has so much trouble moving the ball and getting decent shots off, you don't want to pass the ball past a good shot to look for a great shot, which they do a lot.
They do a lot.
So I think that just this coaching style of a little bit more leniency on the offensive end to allow them to get into grooves. And we saw yesterday with Tyrese Hunter, them giving him a couple shots and go, no, let's just feed him the ball a little bit. We know if there's one game that can get him going, it's this one. So let's feed him the ball. And we saw his numbers were drastically improved for this game.
It's a good point, though, too, man. With the reason, it's such a pivotal game for Texas, and Iowa State's been struggling, to be fair. They've been struggling. They've won, one conference road game all season long. So they've been struggling on the road.
Yeah.
But one of the big criticisms, and I believe you and Patrick both shared this criticism of Texas after the Oklahoma win, was that they were playing to their opponent, not playing. They weren't playing to a standard. They were playing to their opponent, which, hey, the Big 12, you find a way to win.
Yep.
You just win in advance. That's the name of the game because it is the toughest conference in the country. But there were opportunities in that game. We've seen this throughout the season, opportunities to take command of a game. And then if you could just consistently continue to play at a high level, all right? I'm talking about on both ends of the floor. Now, we know there are going to be lapses where, they're going to go through the droughts where they, I think it was a 4-minute drought in this game.
As usual.
Yeah, start of the second half.
But it wasn't on both ends of the floor.
Right.
It was just offensively. Defensively, they still kept their focus, still kept their intensity. And I think that was this game they played to a standard.
Yes.
So you guys' biggest complaint, I think, was that, man, you can't play to an opponent. You got to be past that now. You're deep in Big 12 play. You're trying to win the toughest conference in the country, and you're trying to make a run in the tournament. You play to your competition, you're going to lose.
Yeah,
that's how
teams get upset. Early in the tournament, early in the Big 12 tournament, is you play to your competition. Instead of going, we should breeze to the Sweet 16, you go, no, because we're going to play a 14 team that's going to come out with way more intensity and fire than we are.
Yep.
They're going to, because they want it.
Yep.
Because this is their shot. They ain't even been on TV all year. Like, they're going to be part of the tournament, and you're going up against that. And if you don't come out with the fire in your eyes of, hey, man, we're winning a national title, and we don't want a game to be in question. We want to win by 20 so that our coaches are happier and we're not getting yelled at. Like, you have to have that mentality versus the mentality of, oh, no, let's save ourselves and win this one. And then, next game we'll be ready for that one better if we rest ourselves a little bit more. You're like, no.
Like you can flip a switch.
Yes.
You're not. Yeah.
There is no switch.
Yep. The NBA is big on flipping the switch. And those guys can do it. I'll admit. It's NBA.
Some of them can, and a lot of them can't.
Yeah, that's very true. They need, I agree. Don't want to play with that. If you want to be peaking at the right time. And especially in college basketball where everybody knows all about March Madness, this team They look good right now. I would say this is one of their better performances all year long, and it's at the right time. Now you got to build on it, and now you got to go on the road to help build on it in the Big 12. On the road in the Big 12. And this is a team, what is Texas, 500 on the road in the Big 12?
Well, I think so.
Right?
Let me check real quick.
You have to look. I don't know.
I think they're somewhere around there, right? They're not. I mean, it's the Big 12.
They're 4-4 away from here,
Yeah,
but
so
they're 2-1 neutral site.
Okay, yeah. So
So
they're
they're-
4-4. They're 500.
Yep.
In the Big 12 play on the road. So they gotta split, but it'd be great to win them both.
Exactly.
It'd be great to win both of those road games. You got at Baylor and you got at TCU. The 3-point shot, either way, defending it and hitting it, gonna be big on the road at Baylor.
Yeah, one of their losses was at Tennessee. So you can still, but
Oh,
you're
yeah, on the
right.
road.
But
Sorry.
you're right
Yes.
though.
Yeah.
But you're right though. They're 500 on the road. Their one loss was at Tennessee.
Okay. So not just in Big 12 play, just
Right.
away. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think for this team is playing a really good basketball at a really crucial
This
time.
is perfect time for them
And
to
they're-
continue to roll.
Yeah, and they're peaking at the right time, no question. Texas baseball, don't need to be worried about peaking. They got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Getting their first win of the season, and it was the first home opener. The home opener for the Longhorns, and they won in a really impressive fashion, 12-2 win over A&M Corpus Christi. Harge, what did you see that you liked?
I like LeBaron Johnson throwing strikes. I mean, he got in trouble early, gave up the home run, but then he came back. And the beautiful part about it was Texas did not commit an error. That is a major
like
part
that.
of it. The confidence is starting to get there, and you just want to make sure that you look at what LeBaron did. He struck out 5. Excuse me. He went 5 innings, struck out 8, and it was his first start. And he picked up his first career win. So that is a confidence builder. I think he has electric stuff. And once he gets to understand his delivery, working with Woody Williams, I think he's going to be okay. I just believe that everybody needs their time, right? You still need to work through some things. And I said this the other day, and people were like, come on, Harge. And I'm like, no, baseball is one of those games that you need to have reps. You need to continue to have those reps. I was in Arlington, so I got a chance to see it. I got a chance to hear it. I got a chance to feel it from those fans. In the first game you go and play in your college baseball career is on the road. Some of these other teams that people were texting me about them being young, those games were played at home. So it's a different feel from when you're on the road to when you're at home. And things happen for those same players that struggled on the road. They played well at home. So, and you get a different type of pitching staff to go up against. That staff that they saw Friday night, they got to see a dude that's going to go in the top half of the first round that was shoving that night. I mean, I told you, Rod, I was like, man, I don't even know if I would have been able to hit that dude the way he was carving people up. He was moving it all around. I mean, there were some good things that were happening. Then on Saturday, they had an opportunity, and it was they lost in a walk-off. Mm-hmm. There were certain things. And Sunday was just bad all the way around. But they didn't give away at bats. They were still up there battling. They needed to put the ball in play. When you put the ball in play, you make the other team have to catch it, throw it, and catch it again. But if all they're doing is playing from the pitcher to the catcher, there's not much that can go. It makes the game simple for them.
It's too easy.
So put the ball in play and make other people have to make plays around you. You started to see some of the older players hit the ball a little bit. Dylan Campbell had 3 hits, and one of his outs, he sent a dude to the warning track. Then you look at what Jack O'Dowd did yesterday. He went 3 for 4. Mitchell Daly, 3 for 4. And Porter Brown, 2 for 3. So you got some at-bats from all these other guys that you've been needing to get going, and that's what Texas needed to do. You got some home cooking. You got to play at home, got to be in front of your friends and family. Everybody was excited for you. This weekend, you're going to get another opportunity. Indiana's coming in, so you should be able to go and attack them too because they don't have those SEC arms. So be prepared. But to answer your question, the biggest part for me was the simple fact that they could pitch it and catch it yesterday, and that was most important for me.
Yeah, but I'm with you. Love the way that LeBaron Johnson looked. I mean, he's big and
he's
long.
menacing up there, man.
Yeah, that's a
he's
great description. And redshirt sophomore, correct? So he's still a youngster, but recovered and really bounced back after giving up that solo shot early on. And I was talking to a friend of mine, a big Texas baseball fan, who said we should give some more props to the bullpen.
Yeah.
That the bullpen, even in the 3 losses, that the bullpen wasn't terrible. The
Right.
bullpen actually showed
Right.
up and had some impressive performances, and I guess the bullpen showed up in this one too as
Yep.
well.
And again, lesser opponent. You come home, you get the swings, you get to have your reps. When they'll get a chance, when they go to Cal State Fullerton, we'll see what this team is able to do. They get LSU on Tuesday. That's going to be a huge challenge for them, and we'll get to see what it looks like. But last night, they did what they were supposed to do, and that was win at home against a lesser opponent. Now let's see if you can ramp it up going into this week. Like I told you before, the play against Arkansas, they should have won that game. The ball went through Jalen Flores' legs. If he makes that play, Texas wins the game. I told you, by week 3 and 4, he'll be making that play. They lost to Missouri because Missouri was bunting and running, and they were putting the ball in play, and they were making them make plays.
Making mistakes.
And they still won. They could have won the game on a. They lost on a walk-off. If Jaden Duplantier, if his ball hits the wall in left field, all 3 runs score. I was there. I saw it. So I'm not making excuses. I watched the games. So when you pay attention to the games, there's no excuses being made. There was plays that could have been had. The game against Vanderbilt, Travis Staley was pitching ground balls. They didn't field them. So if they field them, it's a different ball game. The problem was they didn't put the ball in play at the plate. It wasn't everything else that was happening. Lucas Gordon matched that other guy from Arkansas pitch for pitch. I mean, they were battling. So when you watch the game and you understand what's happening, there's nothing to sit here and say, oh, they're terrible, they're terrible. No, let it happen. They're going to play a lot of games. And as the season, Patrick asked me this morning, should we be panicking yet? Not yet. We ain't got the button yet. Don't worry about it. I'll let you know when we need to start pushing this button.
Yeah, and right now they look pretty good. But like I said, you don't get credit for things you're supposed to do. As Chris Rock said, you're supposed to beat A&M Corpus Christi pretty badly. And that's
exactly what they did.
Exactly what they did. You brought up the Duplantier brother.
Yep.
And there's Andre Duplantier.
Yep.
Who's also on the team now. So you do have
Dre, he pitched the other night.
you have siblings on the team. It brought up a conversation that I brought up earlier in the show. And I'm sure that other institutions can brag about this too, so I'm not just saying it's Texas. But, man, I can think of so many Texas family legacies. And I wonder if they did a extensive study for sports programs, the program across the country, where Texas would stack up with other schools in family legacies within sports programs. And when we asked you guys on the Specs text line to throw out the family legacy that you can think of in Texas sports. So what we have right now is, I forgot about the Dockery brothers, so I put them on there. I played with the Dockery brothers, or at least I played with one of them. You got Vaccaros, Kenny and Kevin Vaccaro, Foreman brothers, Colton Case McCoy. You have the Keith and Kerry Cash. You got the Acho brothers, Shipley brothers, now Duplantiers.
Griffins.
You got the Griffins. They're coming up later. I got them on my list too.
Got you.
Duplantiers, Clemens, Duvernays, Donovan, and Devin. These are just family connections too.
And you can have Calvin on there because Calvin is their uncle. Calvin Murray is their uncle.
You can throw that out there. Shaw in baseball, Lusson in baseball. Shout out to Danny Davis who threw those out there via Twitter. You got Jeremy Hills and Tony Hills. Michael and Marcus Griffin you brought up. Colin and Kirk Johnson. Don't forget about Dad. So Johnny Johnson too. Papa there. Cole and Chase Pittman. Brocker Myers. Sam Ellinger and Jake Ellinger. Also, you have Sinline, Lyle and Kyle. Also, Lyle and Austin Sinline.
Yep.
Earl and the Campbell brothers.
Yep.
Put out there too.
Earl and Tim.
Yep. There was a Steve in there.
Steven too,
as well. My man Quentin Jammer and Quandre Diggs. They are brothers. Don't forget about the somebody tweeted in. I see texted in Shay Holly.
Yep.
Her dad played at Texas. And so
and the Peoples brothers.
We missed one.
Don't forget about the Peoples. They all play baseball at Texas. You also got, just the Danks. Oh, yeah, the dad played here too. The John Danks. The Danks kids, yep.
All right.
So you still got a bunch of them that are
That's
out there.
crazy.
Nashawn and Cameron Hughes from the football teams too.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Probably
there's
someone
a
missed.
ton of them that are.
It's just
And
so
Colton
many.
Gossick, the Vosiks.
Forgot about the Vosiks.
Yeah.
That's a brand new one.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I mean,
The streets.
I'm sure. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Like I said, I wonder where somebody's got to do a study with other universities. I'm not going to do it. I don't have the time. But somebody's got to do it. We could do Texas pretty easy.
Yeah.
And we already did Texas right now. Hell, we already came up with, we got at least, 23.
Yeah, the
so, yeah.
Kennedys. The Kennedys.
Yeah.
We also got Brian and
It's crazy.
the Shazarziks. The Hodos. They all played here. So it's Rusty Richards. Dang, there's a ton. You could continue
That's what I'm saying.
you could go all day. Keishnick, his son is coming to the University of Texas now to play football
There'll be
as a
another one.
preferred walk-on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think
The
of
Hagers.
There's no way. I forgot about the Hagers. How do we forget about the Hagers?
Exactly.
Hagers, yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I'm just saying I don't think that would be a university that would have more. I could be off. I could just be looking at things through burnt orange glasses.
And you should.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like that it can't be a school with that many more.
I know.
But like I said, maybe if I was a Notre Dame, USC, that kind of stuff, and maybe they have the
Alfred
same
Collins and his
types of
mom.
legacy.
She played
She
basketball
did. She
here.
played basketball.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm saying. Like
The Perrymans.
we're at this point. We're in the 30.
Oh,
to,
yeah, the Reynolds. I forgot
we're
about that.
30 to 40
Yeah.
family legacies easily.
Oh, Calvin Schiraldi. His son was here, Lucas, at one point.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hey, look at all these names coming in.
I
on
know. They
Spec
just
Sex Line.
keep flying through.
Someone says Miami might have more. They may. I'm not saying the university
Right.
doesn't. I'm just saying Texas has a ridiculous amount of them,
Yep.
like a ton. And I would put Texas's family legacy, sports legacies up against any other schools.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they're so deep. I stopped writing them down. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they keep coming through,
They
so
keep
we
coming
good.
they're just. I mean, I didn't even. Some of them I didn't even think about. But
Right. Oh, yeah.
Spec Sex Line thought
Coach
about it.
Gus and his son.
Exactly.
Yeah. The Hark Riders came here. Casey and his dad and his uncle.
Yeah, Casey Stutter. That's one. I heard him talking about that this morning.
Yeah.
Casey Stutter's dad, uncle. I just think it goes on forever.
Yeah. It's nonstop.
It goes on forever.
I love it.
All right, thanks to all you guys on the Specs text line. Yeah, I figured that would be a
That would be a
hot
good
topic,
trigger.
but I didn't. I knew there were a lot we were missing, but man, some of them seemed obvious that
Right.
we just forgot all about them. But there's just tons of them.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to Raj rant of the day. I want to talk about the Miracle on Ice.
Come on
what some
now.
are calling the greatest upset in sports history, potentially, at least in American team sports history. We'll talk about that, and also what they call the greatest individual sports upset in American sports history. We'll get
Think
into
I
that
know what that
and
is.
more. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all know that time is money. So do my friends over at Apple Leasing, and they're in the business of saving you both. They're going to save you money. Yeah, all right, they're going to save you time, but also find you great value. And they have the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. The professionals over at Apple Leasing will help you find the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. And it's pretty easy. All it takes is one phone call or a click on Apple Leasing's website, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. And it's pretty simple. All you got to do is reach out to my friends at Apple Leasing, and they'll explain their simple interest, easy lease to you. And what that does, just to break it down for you, it just gives you more flexibility, which is going to give you more possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. Inflation is out of control. I know we're all scared of inflation. It's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, buy anything for that matter. And yes, it is affecting the car market. But my friends at Apple Leasing, they can help you navigate that car car market. They can help you navigate the labyrinth that is the car market and still help you find the value, the best value for you. So give them a call, 512-346-9977, and let them see how much money they can save you. They get all the same discounts and all the same incentives that the dealers do, except my friends at Apple Leasing, they pass those savings on to you, the customer. So give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. I want to get into an anniversary, which is supposed to mark one of the most iconic moments and most memorable moments in American sports history. It's basically when the U.S. hockey team pulled the 1980 Olympics upset over Russia, which was considered to be, at least it's still considered to be, one of the greatest upsets in the history of sports, period. Internationally, nationally, doesn't matter. That was one of the biggest upsets that we've ever seen because, it's really hard to find odds for sports betting back then because it was so frowned upon. So there were not a lot of publications that were putting out the betting odds for the Soviet Union and for Team USA. But since a lot of these betting conglomerates, a lot of these publications, they have went back and studied the upset of Team Russia by Team USA in the 1980 Olympics and tried to retroactively come up with odds to see what they would have been. They've talked to some of the most renowned betting minds in America, one of them being Jimmy Vaccaro. He's a longtime bookmaker. If you're in the betting world, you know the name Jimmy Vaccaro. And they did actually several documentaries, by the way, about this 1980 upset of the Soviet Union. And they actually had some bettors on that documentary, too. And so Action Network actually went and spoke to some of these people to figure out exactly what the line would have been. So Jimmy Vaccaro said on Twitter the U.S. was priced somewhere between plus 400 and plus 600, but other estimates put it between plus 800 or plus 1,000 as their best odds to beat Team Russia in those Olympics. So Monte Carlo, which was one of the sports gambling capitals of the world, a Monte Carlo simulation that was run by Carlton Chin and Jay Granat in 2010. They said their simulation machine, so they got a supercomputer, basically. They put all these different factors and variables into the supercomputer and have run all these simulations. And they said the U.S. odds were 1,000 to 1 to win the gold entering the tournament. So that's just to win the gold entering the tournament. They didn't go individually into their matchup against Team Russia in the Olympics. The Action Network themselves, all right, said that they put the odds somewhere closer to 17 to 1 based on what they saw through the first 5 games of 5 hockey games for the Americans in the competition. So they put them at around 17 to 1 odds. They were the 7th seeded team in the basically in that Olympics in the hockey competition. They were the 7th seeded team, which I guess is not terrible. But Russia had been dominant. They had won the previous 4 Olympic gold medals, and they had won 12 of the previous 16 world championships. They were a dynasty and considered to be unbeatable in a lot of people's estimation. But obviously, if you've seen the movie Miracle, have you seen the movie Miracle?
Yes, sir.
Kurt Russell, have you seen the movie Miracle?
Nope.
Kurt Russell.
I got a story about that when we get done.
Do you really?
When we get done. Yeah.
Guess Harsh knows every damn body.
No.
So you know somebody on there too?
No.
Kurt Russell plays Herb Brooks, I believe, is the famous coach's name. And I think he had the line that if we played them 10 times, they'll probably win 9, but not tonight. But not this game, not tonight. One of the famous lines that came from the movie. So they put their odds, like I said, several different betting outlets put it basically 1,000 to 1 odds, 17 to 1 odds potentially. Either way, we're talking about a huge long shot. So I went and looked at also another simple rating system, SRS, what they call a simple rating system. And they had Russia, even after the upset, they had Russia as 2.5 goals better than Team America. And they said prior to the upset, Russia was actually 3 and 3.5 goals better considered by the SRS system than America. That is equivalent to, they say, of America being a minus 2,200 underdog. So I mean, these odds are all over the place.
Yeah.
Minus 2,200 is that's a lot.
That's That's a lot of money.
That's a lot. You're yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know.
You're a betting man. Can you
yeah.
explain to the people what minus 2,200 would mean if I want to put some money on Team USA at minus 2,200?
If you wanted to put it on Team USA or if Team Russia, because Team Russia would have been the ones
yeah,
that would have
yeah,
been favored,
yeah,
so it would have been plus.
Yes, at plus 2,200 for yes.
Yeah,
but they're minus, so they are the favorites. Yes,
You would have won $2 million if you'd have put $100 on it.
at plus 2,200.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Action Network, that's wild. Action Network said after their extensive study that they would have put Team USA, or put Russia, I should say, at minus 2,000, between minus 1,400 and minus 2,000 as a favorite. Yep. And they would have put Team USA at plus 800 to a plus 1,000 underdog. So, as my man Harsh explained to you, you're
Let's
talking
win
about
that money, straight cash.
a huge underdog. We don't know who. I don't know if anybody even bet Team USA in that, because that would have been. I'm sure we would have heard about that. That would have been historic. But earlier this month, there was another historic anniversary of historic upset, and it was actually what is considered to be the biggest upset in basically in independent single sports, athletic sports history. So if you're just being not team sports, but individual sports history, when Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson, so I went back and those, you have a lot more kind of documented lines from that matchup and that upset. And that happened February 11th, by the way. I believe that matchup was February 11th. So it just, a couple of weeks ago, you were at the anniversary of the big upset of Mike Tyson losing to James Buster Douglas. So looking at the odds, James Buster Douglas, famously the longest odds that we have for James Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson, for it was 42-1. Nobody ever took that bet. The longest odds that actually did have a wager placed for the Tyson fight were at 38-1 odds. So there was a third. Basically, you did have somebody who took a bet for James Buster Douglas to pull the upset, 38-1 odds.
Yeah, and it was $2,200 you would have won. If you bet 100 on the 2,200. You would have won $2,200, not $2 million. I was thinking of another wager that I put out there extra.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain again then.
So $100 and you bet plus $2,200, you would get $2,200.
Okay.
Yeah.
And minus 2,200 is the fun part. Is if you bet $100 on Russia at minus 2,200, you'd win about $5.
You win about $5. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't win nothing.
So not a great
Russia.
bet to bet on Russia.
You got to throw it out there for yourself. That's why you always look at those wagers and you look at it and say, oh, they're plus 500. Like right now, if you picked the Chiefs to go back to the Super Bowl and win it, they're like plus 500. You would win $500 if you put 100 on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to the Buster Douglas upset odds.
Love that.
The longest odds were 42-1 for him to upset Tyson. He ended up the longest odds where a wager was actually placed was 38-1 odds for Buster Douglas and the Mike Tyson fight. And prior to that, it is said the longest odds were Cinderella Man, which there's a movie about that too. People love to make movies about these big upsets. In 1935, when he was a 10-1 underdog, and James Braddock ended up beating Max Baer in 1935 as a 10-1 underdog. That was considered the greatest underdog to win a heavyweight title prior to Tyson and Buster Douglas. But James Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson, they annihilated those odds with from 10-1, like I said, 38-1, but at one time it was 42-1 odds. Nobody gave Buster Douglas a chance. But honestly, if somebody was within Mike Tyson's camp at the time, they probably could have placed some money on Buster Douglas and won a ton. Because they all knew Mike Tyson was drinking and partying
the whole time.
Wasn't training.
No.
He had gotten knocked out by a sparring partner before the
Living
fight.
a bad week.
So if you were on the inside, man, you could have cashed in big time on that fight, because still probably wouldn't have seen Mike Tyson losing the fight.
Right.
Because he knocked James Buster Douglas out earlier in the fight, and everybody thought, oh, that's it, fight's over. Buster Douglas got up.
He was like, I'm the champ. The champ is here.
I remember that. That was mind blowing. That to me, that was the greatest upset that I ever witnessed. I wasn't alive for the 1980, Miracle on Ice. But watching Mike Tyson lose his mystique
Yeah.
like that, it was crazy.
Yeah, and there was rumors that WWE was going to bring in Mike Tyson after that fight for something. And then when he lost, they're like, well, yeah, we don't really want to pay you that amount of money anymore.
No.
Because you just lost, so we can't really sell you as the best fighter in the world.
Right.
You lost to Buster Douglas. You didn't lose. That was supposed to be just a, kind of a rando fight against a jabroni.
That's why it was overseas.
That's why it was
way
overseas,
over there. With no
and-
big deal.
And that's why the odds were so
Right.
long that
Right.
Buster Douglas could have a chance to upset Mike Tyson, and it happened. So you could argue, there's an argument to be made that the Mike Tyson upset actually, if you look at odds, is right up there with the Team USA upset over Russia.
Yeah.
In terms of odds, sports odds, just looking at it that way. All right, we come back.
So let me tell you the story real quick
go
about that. So we're in Atlanta for the national championship game, and our boy Chip Brown is a huge Prince guy. Prince is his dude. He loves him some Prince. So I'm in the room and I'm watching TV, and I'm watching this Prince documentary. So I called Chip. I said, Chip, Prince is on. Turn it on this channel. You get to watch your documentary. He said, nah, player. I'm watching The Miracle. I'm watching the Miracle movie right now with Kurt Russell.
Like he's emotional
Yeah,
about
he
it.
was like, "Nah, I can't talk to you right now. I'm watching Miracle, man."
down
And
to
this
the
is
other.
the scene where he's talking in the locker room.
Oh, yeah.
He was
The
dialed
pregame
in.
speech, man.
Yeah.
It's legit, no
Yeah.
doubt. All right, we come back. We got a little more off the record on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is time for another edition of Off the Record. Midweek movie music, by the way. That means my man Patrick takes songs from a certain soundtrack, plays those songs for us, and based on these selections, we're to gather clues and hints that lead us to the featured film for midweek movie music. And today, it's Old School. Great
Love
film.
it. Love it.
Great film. Love it. Had a good time. I've watched it. I don't know. I probably watched it more than 10 times, I think, in my life.
Oh, for sure.
And it's rare I can say that about a comedy and enjoyed it every damn time. So shout out to my man Patrick, always keeping us on our toes with the midweek movie music. All right, let's get to a little off the record here. So this is archaeological history, actually, that may have been made, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
So UK archaeologists were flabbergasted. It's the only way to put it. When they discovered what they thought was a sewing tool, now, after further investigation, they've come to believe it is the only known oldest known Roman adult toy.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I'm not making this up.
Oh, my God. I wish you were.
Dr. Rob Collins, an archaeologist at Newcastle University who co-authored the paper, said, "We know ancient Romans and Greeks used sexual implements. This object from Vindolanda could be an example of one." And it is, they say it was first discovered in 1992 during an excavation of the Roman fort in Vindolanda. Sorry, I probably may be mispronouncing it, and I apologize if I am. It said archaeologists initially classified the cylindrical object as an implement of, just some tool they would use. Well, it is a tool they would use, but one they would use in sewing or something like that. Fabric, manipulation of fabric and needles. But come to find out now, modern archaeologists suspect that it was used, for more adult purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So they said it was an adult toy. Upon further examination, they believe that it was being used to pleasure Romans back in the day.
Wow.
Now you like that?
This is...
I really just hope that when they said that, someone was holding it with their bare hands.
Yeah.
And just holding it, and then they're like, and that was used to be inserted into the, oh, no!
It's, no. I mean, I don't know exactly.
Where was that on the 24%?
It's an erotic instrument, as has been described here. There you go.
It's a classy way to say that.
It is.
Yeah.
Hey, go over to adamandeve.com for erotic instruments.
Yeah.
goodness.
So that's what they are now, discussing. They said it might be the oldest of its kind.
Wow.
There you go. See,
That is definitely the oldest if it was Roman.
it was made of wood too. It looks like.
Wow.
Doesn't seem like that. That seemed like that'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, that predates sandpaper. So
It's like, no, I think it's. It looks like it's made of wood.
the
so.
best part is,
Yeah.
that was like some 13-year-olds. Their mom just walking in. What are you carving? Nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's carving.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder who made these back in the day, and how did you get them? Like, who was, you know what I mean? Like, they'd have a shop.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I mean, it seems
a-
like, when you were in school and then someone would find out something that you could do that seemed nefarious but really wasn't, and everybody would just be like, oh, well, I'll make these. I think it's just that. It's just 13-year-old. Well, I mean, we'll say so like 12-year-old, 10-year-old Greek boys.
Yeah. This is just a hypothesis about what it could be. I don't know why they jumped to freaky about what it could be, but I guess at first they went from it could be a device used for sewing and using garments and manipulation, and now they said it's an erotic instrument. So who knows? The beauty's in eye of the
They were
beholder.
trying to do it, and then one of them sniffed it and was like, I get where this was. Ah.
My gosh.
Yes. I love the texture, so I guess they were entertained.
Yeah.
Well done.
There you go.
There you go.
Are you not entertained?
Gladiator
I
reference
love it.
there.
Love it.
Fantastic. All right, we come back. We'll talk Cowboys. We got a Darren Jeremiah mock draft we'll get into. And this is a strange comparison for Bryce Young. We'll get into it on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie 104.9. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. My man Patrick takes jams from a soundtrack, plays those songs for us, and based on these selections we hear, we're supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the feature film of midweek movie music. Today it is Old School. I think we all got it around the same time. Patrick was basically merciful, took it easy on us, and gave us a slap in the face, if you will, for a clue.
Layup.
Top of the 4 o'clock. Yeah, it definitely was a layup. So I thank my man Patrick for all of his hard work. And I do remember this scene. This is Snoop Dogg performing. Yeah, I remember this scene too.
That's when Frank started streaking right after that.
Well, that's when Frank the Tank came
Yeah,
out.
that's when Frank the Tank. He's like, come on, because he got on the stage and he was bumping all into Snoop the entire time. We're going through the quad. Come on, man.
You can bring your hat.
You can bring your hat.
That was a great scene. And then his wife catch him streaking. Right?
Yeah.
Then she
Yeah,
was the
we're
one
all
that-
going. We're all going. It's like, it's just you.
Yeah.
Oh, man, real good stuff.
They get to the car and he's like, you want to get some fried chicken?
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm telling you, vintage. You're talking about vintage prime Will Ferrell, and I mean that's one of his vintage prime performances, and that's right up there. Because right now, I'll admit he's past his prime. Like now, Will Ferrell's not as funny. It's probably because we know Will Ferrell's shtick now. We kind of know the bit when we see Will Ferrell. Still funny, but just not like he at one point. He might have been the funniest man on the planet at one point.
Yeah.
And it was around that time. There. So, man, love me some Old School. Great selection for midweek movie music. All right, let's get to some Cowboys news, notes, and nuggets. Also lead us to a conversation about the Texans because Daniel Jeremiah has his latest mock draft. And Todd McShay. Matter of fact, we might start with that Todd McShay comparison because I thought it was pretty interesting because he's had his latest mock draft, and his latest mock draft, I believe he's got the Texans actually at number 2 taking C.J. Stroud. He's got the Colts trading up with the Bears at number 1 to get Bryce Young. So he's a big Bryce Young fan. He just had it playing out a little differently than Daniel Jeremiah's draft, which we'll get to in a second. But the comparison that he makes. So you guys, I'm sure by now have heard what the most frequent comparison made for Bryce Young has been. And I want to say the first person I heard bring it up may have been Dan Orlovsky. I'm not sure if he was the first one that I heard bring it up. But now I've heard it from like 4 or 5 different people. So I'm pretty sure it's the talking point just going around. Maybe his agent threw it out there and people really liked it. But everybody's comparing Bryce Young to Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure y'all have heard this comparison.
Yep, I did.
Like he's a point guard, and he's basically Steph Curry on a football field, which I don't mind that comparison, actually. That's a pretty good comparison. I guess my retort to that comparison would be, yeah, and how often does Steph Curry have 250 to 300-pound human beings chasing after him, trying to land on top of him do damage? Doesn't happen very often. He's a frail guy. But anyway, I digress. Getting back to it. So Todd McShay, I guess, he wanted to stand out, have a different comparison because everybody's been throwing out the Steph Curry one. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad one. So his recent comparison for Bryce Young is Patrick Mahomes. He says, quote, I have Indianapolis moving up to number 1 and taking Bryce Young. I know he's undersized, but I have them taking Bryce Young at number 1, at the number 1 spot. To me, Bryce Young has a chance to be an absolute star. I've said it multiple times, but he is Patrick Mahomes in a smaller body. The ability to move the pocket, just the pocket presence that he has, the magic that he can create inside of the pocket and outside the pocket. It's different than all the other quarterbacks in this class and most quarterbacks that we evaluate. All right.
Interesting.
All right. What say you, gentlemen, about the Patrick Mahomes Bryce Young comparison? Is it a bunch of BS? Is it just all silly season theater, or is there substance to this?
I don't see any substance to this because Patrick Mahomes was not even Patrick Mahomes when he got into the NFL. People were still trying to figure out who he was and what is he going to be able to play in this league. I just hate when people try to compare all these guys. I know we all have to put a comp out there so everybody, he's going to do that. Don't put him in that situation, especially when you don't know what it's going to be like when the speed of the game. Yes, he played at Alabama. Yes, he had some of those big humans in front of him blocking for him, and he's going to have some big humans for him in the league. but it's a totally different game. It's a totally different ball game when you get into the NFL. There's going to be some defenses that he might not have ever seen before, and you know this better than anybody. Eventually, the league catches up with you. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to make an adjustment. Not saying he can't, but let's just pump the brakes when we start going out there and just giving these comps to guys that's a 2-time Super Bowl MVP.
I'm with you. I don't think it's a fair comparison to either side,
right?
To Bryce Young or to what Patrick Mahomes has done.
No, it's one of those silly things. You're trying to make the point of I think this guy can mentally do things that a lot of people in the league can't do. Like Patrick Mahomes being able to pick out and make the right throw a bunch of times is kind of what you're saying. The rest of it doesn't match up as much, but you're like, he makes the right throw a bunch of times and has the ability to make a bunch of different types of throws. So I get it there, but I think there's many other quarterbacks who have had that same quality. So I don't know if the comparison fully holds, except for you're trying to say, oh, his upside's really big. I think his upside's really big is more what you're saying when you make that comparison. The Steph Curry one makes more sense, but that's again, you're trying to compare again generational talents. So it's nice to anytime anybody says your comparison is a generational talent.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's what he's trying to say. He's like, hey, man, you this is not a guy you can pass up on. He's one of those types of players. And if that's what he's trying to say, then, maybe I'll jump on board with that comparison. It's just hard to – because Bryce Young is such an outlier that you're really not going to have any accurate comparisons player to player. Now, saying a smaller Mahomes, maybe that's what he's trying to do, saying because he's so compact. But I love the Dane Brugler factoid, little nugget, that of the 301 quarterbacks drafted in the last 25 years, only 2 were under 6 foot, which a lot of people are saying Bryce Young is. So he's right at 5'11", somewhere around there. And under 200 pounds, which people are saying he's under 200 pounds as well. So there have only been 2 quarterbacks under 6 foot, under 200 pounds drafted in the last 25 years, and neither one of them were drafted in the top 100. And a lot of people have been comparing him basically kind of like Doug Flutie. Like Doug Flutie was like that. Doug Flutie was a smaller quarterback and was slight, if you will. Kyler Murray, although short, is actually pretty thick. Like he's actually built pretty
you see
thick
his neck
down low.
Yeah, he's strong, man.
Yeah, so he's actually built pretty thick. And Bryce Young isn't that. Bryce Young is slight and a little slimmer. That's why the Steph Curry comparison comes out there too. So I don't know if there is skill set wise. I guess maybe you can compare him and Patrick Mahomes just because their ability to improvise. I love what both of those quarterbacks do when the play breaks down, and I think that's one of Bryce Young's X-Man abilities is that when the play breaks down and he's got to process and improvise on the fly, he's amazing. How he beat Texas like that.
Right.
Texas literally got beat with his improvisation skills. Yep. Right? He's amazing at improv as a player.
And the officials.
And Patrick, and official. Well, listen, if Ryan Watts gets a sack, we ain't even talking about this.
That's true.
Can't blame the
they
Ryan
sacked
Watts.
him in the end zone, and they called him not down.
I know, but
my man was down.
Ryan Watts had a chance to get him down.
Yeah, he tried to tell him night-night.
And missed him. Just whiffed on him. Nothing against him. You whiffed on one of the best players in college football. Probably going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
But there were chances for Texas to win that game. But I digress. So getting to that point, he is twitchy and sudden. A lot more twitchy and sudden than you would think. I do have issues with how slight and small he is, but I can get past it. I think he processes really well. And, for a player like Bryce Young and the position that he's going to be in with the Texans, I do think Bryce Young has a chance to be successful because they do have 2 bookend tackles if they're going to pick him up. And they have a running game to help protect him. And he's going to need protection because he is little. That's just the way I look at it. Every quarterback that's slight, that's smaller, they get hurt. That's just the reality of it. They all do. Hell, even the big ones do. I just told you there have been, 68 different starting quarterbacks this season. You've had 10 quarterbacks that started 100% of the snaps for their teams this year. That's the lowest amount in the 32-team era. So your quarterback's going to miss time, and especially the smaller ones too. Yeah. I like this texter who says, why isn't Bryce Young compared more to Deshaun Watson? Obviously on the field.
Yeah.
She said Saban even hired Watson's former coach to run his offense the last 2 years. That's a great point. He does have some Deshaun Watson in his game.
He does.
There's a little bit of Deshaun.
He does. I think he's more of a throw first, and Deshaun Watson got to be a bit more of he ran a bit more than Bryce Young does.
Yeah,
but there is similarities for sure.
There are similarities. I think Deshaun Watson was really good at when the play broke down, and his second reaction was really, really good. And I think Bryce Young's second reaction is really, really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if he's comparing him to Bryce Young to Patrick Mahomes at all as a Texans fan, I am ecstatic. Like, I am joyful if you get anything close to Patrick Mahomes.
I'm still waiting for all these C.J. Stroud comparisons to start coming out because I keep hearing more and more Bryce Youngs and C.J. Stroud. They're just like, well, he's a quarterback.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, well, this guy, some people are saying might go ahead of him. Like, there's a debate about it because he's a bigger. Give me some more comparisons to C.J. Stroud.
That's a great point. What's my C.J. Stroud comparison is? Let me think about this. Yeah, that's good. I really don't have a good one.
That's what I'm saying. Which is maybe not a detriment. Like, it doesn't mean you can't succeed in the NFL, but it is odd that he doesn't have a comparison.
Not right now. I had to think about it more, but I don't have one at the top of my head.
I definitely don't right now. I got to go back and really sit down and think about it to look at him. I like him a lot, though. I like him a lot.
Well, Cowboys do too, apparently.
I mean, come on, man. Don't do that.
The Cowboys do. That was a report from Mike Fisher.
I do understand.
Mike Fisher said yesterday Cowboys really like C.J. Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
That's all?
Yeah, that's a good conversation piece. That's good.
Listen, it is – okay, this is my thing. I don't know if the report is they are pursuing C.J. Stroud or they like him. Those are different.
Definitely. That's the same thing as what they said about Hendon Hooker, too.
Yeah, they just said they like, all right? And they are having a lot of – for those who haven't heard, the new report is from the Draft Network is that they are having pre-draft meetings. One of the many teams, by the way, it's like 5 or 6 teams, having pre-draft meetings. The Cowboys are with Hendon Hooker, the quarterback out of Tennessee. Yesterday, the report was from Mike Fisher that they really like C.J. Stroud. I really like Beyonce. I'm probably not going to get with Beyonce. I probably don't have a shot. I can tell my wife. I have told my wife I really like Beyonce. She's not concerned. She is not insecure at all. She does not have any faith in me being able to hook up Beyonce. That's why Beyonce is on my celebrity hall pass list. If I ever convince Beyonce that we can bang it out, I get to do it. And my wife has already said she will look past it and she will forgive that infidelity because it's on the celebrity hall pass list. But she knows no matter how much I like Beyonce, I got no shot. And that's basically the Cowboys and C.J. Stroud. No matter how much they like C.J. Stroud, they got no shot. They're picking at 26. He'll be drafted in the top, 5, 6 picks?
Yeah.
They're not. And then not only you got to trade up draft capital to get him, then you'd have to trade Dak Prescott away and then take the hit financially. So it ain't happening. It's it is fun to talk about. Just like me trying to get with Beyonce is fun to dream about. Never gonna happen.
Yeah,
Never gonna happen.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm not even going there.
It's true though.
Somebody said he's RG3. I don't think so because he doesn't run like RG3.
But he was slight. RG was slight. RG was smaller. He was smaller. In turn, he was taller. But you go look at him. He was a skinnier. He was a skinnier quarterback. He was a little frail for a QB because he was a track guy.
Yep, he's definitely that.
For that, so that comparison is small, skinny guys they get hurt easier in the NFL. But you got to we're willing to take that risk. I got to take the risk on the quarterback. I think gives us the best chance to win a championship to build around. And I think that's Bryce Young because with quarterback, the intangibles matter more or just the same, if not more, than the tangibles and the measurables. They just do. And he's got more of that it stuff. I want a quarterback who can put on the cape. I need a QB that can put on the cape because that's how we're going to get to the promised land. And oftentimes with Dak Prescott, y'all know the truth is we just don't see him put on the cape enough. And put the cape on. Yeah. Become Superman. And then make throws that everybody goes, man, that guy wasn't even open. He threw that guy open. Damn, I haven't seen anybody make a play like that. I've seen flashes like that with Dak. But the truth is, consistently, he can't put the cape on enough. What did we watch in the Super Bowl?
I knew that's where you were going.
What did we watch Patrick Mahomes do
where you were going.
in the second half of that game? First half, Clark Kent. Second half, Superman. He went to the damn phone booth, switched it up, changed it up, and came out cape flying.
I knew it.
Everybody was like, what the hell's going on? You know what went on. That dude put the cape on. And only a few quarterbacks even got access to the cape. I need a guy that's got the cape. And I've seen Bryce Young put the cape on a few times.
I knew it was going to happen.
C.J. Stroud, I saw him put it on against Georgia. He put it on against Georgia. Now, they didn't win. But he put the cape on. They lost. But I need that cape, man. And some of these guys, Levis, I ain't even got a cape. I need a guy with a cape. Now, you can earn your cape. Josh Allen didn't have a cape when he first came out. And now, dude's got a cape and a cow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got them both. That's what I see in Bryce Young that I don't see in CJ.
Did you say a cap and a cow?
I think it's called a cape and a cow.
Cape and a cow?
You know what Batman has? A cape and a cow. You know what it's called?
A cowl?
I think it's a cowl.
I think you're right.
It's something like that, right? It's like a
by the way,
weird
I'm
term.
looking up comparisons for C.J. Stroud. One I've seen a few times, Dak Prescott. Just throwing that one out there.
Hey, what? Hold up, why did you go quiet then?
Hey,
Hard?
you know what? Do you know why Jerry Jones likes him now? Because we already got him.
I can't even deal with y'all today. I cannot even deal with y'all today.
Man, I did not see that coming. That's good, Patrick. That was good.
No, Patrick, keep that to yourself. Say that off air.
Hey, you know what? And now I kind of see it. Now I can't unsee it. Damn it. It's like when somebody told you that Patrick Mahomes sounds like Kenny Powers. You can't unhear that.
He definitely
He
does sound
sounds like
Kenny
Powers. It's like, damn it, nice. I hear Kenny Powers, not Kermit the Frog. I hear Kenny Powers all the time.
I'm sure he would much rather be Kenny Powers than Kermit
He
the Frog.
sounds just like Kenny Powers.
Oh, no, I
though.
saw it.
It is
I saw
wild,
it.
man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. He should embrace that, though. He should embrace that. Anyway, but getting back to it. So Cowboys' latest report is that they are interested in Hendon Hooker. The reason I like it, I said it yesterday, same thing when they were talking about the C.J. Stroud reports. The Cowboys need to become an organization that focuses on quarterback acquisition more, whether that be through the draft, undrafted free agency, whatever it is. And I've said they're tied with the Indianapolis Colts for the second fewest quarterbacks drafted since 1999. I believe Kansas City may have the fewest. But still, those organizations had number one overall picks playing for them. Quarterbacks they traded up in the draft for. That's a different level of stability. The Cowboys, and I love them, by the way, but they have been blessed by the football gods. Dak Prescott was a happy accident. He's essentially Viagra for them. They never expected him to be the starter. And then you get an undrafted free agent quarterback that becomes your franchise quarterback, which is rare. I count 2 times in history that's happened, Warren Moon and Kurt Warner. So they've been lucky when it comes to quarterback, and they need to start drafting more quarterbacks because actually they're good at it. Mm-hmm. They're actually pretty good at it. They drafted Dak Prescott. That's a hit. They drafted Mike White, went to another team, but still ended up being a pretty good quarterback. And even the undrafted free agents they brought in, Cooper Rush and Tony Romo, they've been good quarterbacks. So I think they should draft more quarterbacks. I'm glad now that Mike McCarthy's with the organization. It seems like that is a focus, because they've drafted more quarterbacks since he's been there in the last few years than they've drafted, like I said, since 1999. They've only drafted 6 of them, which is terrible.
It is terrible.
That's terrible.
It is awful, and that is something that I've been saying for a long time, and it frustrated me for a very long time. I always thought that they needed to draft, and they needed to continue to draft quarterbacks because there were a lot that were still sitting on the board. There was so many that were still sitting on the board, and they just refused to get them. And then you start looking at who they ended up drafting in certain spots. Half of those players don't even stay with the team anyway. So you wasted a draft by not drafting the right person. It didn't even have to be the right person at quarterback. You just needed to draft a quarterback that had a history of success, period.
Yep.
And they've all been sitting there. And then they end up at somebody else's team that ends up coming to beat you up.
Yeah.
I mean, it just continues to – it's a cycle.
It is a cycle.
It is a cycle.
And I think that they're getting better, though. I do think the Cowboys now are starting to develop a healthier organizational habit. But the truth is, every team in the NFL needs to start prioritizing backup quarterback more. And whether they're going to bring in a Hendon Hooker or draft a quarterback this year to be a developmental quarterback or a backup, we don't know. Because Cooper Rush is a free agent, by the way. So they may have to re-sign Cooper Rush. We have no idea. He'll probably be pretty expensive considering as a backup in his career when he starts, he's 5-1, especially after going 4-0 for the Cowboys last season. But I threw this stat out earlier. Only 10 quarterbacks had played 100% of the snaps for their team. That is the lowest amount in the 32-team era. And we saw in the playoffs alone, Skylar Thompson, Brock Purdy, Josh Johnson, Anthony Brown had to play for the Ravens. He was a third-string quarterback. I mean, everybody's out there having to use backup quarterbacks. Hell, Philadelphia used a backup quarterback. Cowboys used a backup quarterback. You're going to need your backup quarterback. Hell, you may even need a third-string quarterback. You got to prioritize the overall health and wellness of your QB position. And if the quarterback position is the most valuable position in football, everything valuable in our life, we take insurance out on it. House, car, health, everything that's valuable has insurance. That's what the backup quarterback position is. Cowboys need to prioritize it. They did. I would say Cooper Rush, that was a good move by the Cowboys. We didn't think it was a good move. It ended up being a good move because he ended up winning games for him.
They ended up getting rid of him, and he ended up coming back. They went back and got him. So, I guess you could say, yeah, they knew what they had, so they felt comfortable with them. That easily could have been Garrett Gilbert, because he was part of the squad
That's
too.
fair.
But Ben DiNucci,
Ben
and
DiNucci.
DiNucci was out there too. But yes, I'm not taking anything away from Cooper Rush. I thought he did a great job filling in. But as we continue to talk about this, the Cowboys have now made their way to make us have this conversation because of the lack of quarterbacks that they've brought into the program. To the organization.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. Someone says on the text line, Rod, can your wife hook up with The Rock? My wife doesn't like The Rock. I believe her Celebrity Hall Pass has Michael B. Jordan on it. He's one of the guys on it. Who else is on that damn? She likes John Legend. She's a big John Legend fan. I think it's mostly because he can sing. She's all about the singing.
He can sing to her?
She's all about the singing. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember whoever's on her Celebrity Hall Pass list. She likes Jalen Hurts, too. She's a big J. She likes Jalen Hurts. Several times she's commented about how sexy Jalen Hurts. You ever notice who your significant other is talking about who's hot? Like it's fine for them to mention like one time, like that person's attractive and handsome. And you're like, okay, I get it, or whatever. Like 4 or 5 times I've been watching Jalen Hurts, and she's like, man, he is so handsome. I'm like, Jalen, and apparently I've talked to other women, and Jalen Hurts is supposed to be like really handsome. So, yeah.
So you were watching that Super Bowl in a whole different light.
No, I will.
Get him!
Yeah,
Get him! Hit him hard!
I'm just saying, like, I don't know if he's on the Celebrity Hall Pass list, but I think she likes that guy.
In my house.
Do you know your wife, who she covets, who she lusts after?
Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin. Anytime the TV is on and he starts talking, I change it. I'm like, I don't need you to be looking at Mike Tomlin, man. Oh.
That is great.
Oh.
So Mike
Tomlin's on? Mike Tomlin's on?
Hey,
No,
where
Mike
y'all
Tomlin ain't
Where
on.
y'all going on your girls trip? Pittsburgh? No, you ain't going to Pittsburgh.
You are not allowed to go to Pittsburgh. And you are never allowed to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers play a game ever.
Wow. That is fantastic. That's what I did not expect. Mike Tomlin. Oh, man. That's great stuff right there.
Yeah.
So she also likes Omar Epstein because they basically look the same.
She won't put his name out there,
She won't put
but
Omar Epps in
she
there?
will definitely, if there is a movie made of Mike Tomlin, it will be Omar Epps playing Mike Tomlin.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is great. All right, Spec Text line. Who do your significant other lusts after? Who's on your Celebrity Hall Pass list? You can hit us up with that too on the Spec Text line. It's lit. All right, we come back. We'll talk about the biggest scandal in college sports right now. It's a very sad, unfortunate scandal, but we learned something that we did not know prior to today, and it makes it even more salacious. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Hart here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Quick Roofing. The story of Quick Roofing has always been inspiring. Jeff Quick started Quick Roofing with just one roof in 1984, and now 39 years later, he's got over 200,000 projects. Have you ever thought about having somebody come out and look at your roof? I know you got these fly-by-night people that are knocking on your door asking, hey, has somebody looked at your roof? You want to look at some solar panels? Hey, Quick Roofing can do that for you as well. You can't stay in business that long if you don't have a great reputation of taking care of your customers and, of course, having that great reputation of customer service. Here are some of the reasons why you should choose Quick Roofing. Free, no obligation inspection, 7-year workmanship warranty. Quick Roofing is fully insured and have all state and local licenses. Quick Roofing doesn't even require any money up front until 100% completion and, of course, 100% satisfaction. Quick Roofing also requires a project manager on every job site, ensuring that the customer is getting everything that they were promised. So what are you waiting for? Do yourself a favor right now and get that free inspection. Go to quickroofing.com today. That is quickroofing.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, a midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. And the featured film for midweek movie music is Old School. So we're reminiscing about some of the funniest scenes from Old School. And this takes you back, I'm sure. Oh, yeah. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
I love it. The look on everybody's face when they drop the F-bomb. Like, what the? Did he just drop the F-bomb there?
Yeah, he was
awesome.
serious about that song, dog.
I need you now. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, he was angry singing this song.
It's fantastic. I effing need you more
Yeah,
than
exactly.
ever. It's really good stuff there. All right, midweek movie music edition of Ball Don't Lie. This story is not a pleasant one, and it is a really sad story and disturbing in a lot of ways. So if you haven't been keeping up with it, there are two people who have been charged with capital murder. One of them is Darius Miles. He is a former Alabama basketball player, and one of them is Michael Davis. Now, Darius Miles is considered to be the player whose gun was used. The person whose gun. He's a former player, not a current, because there is a current player involved in this too. Yeah. He's a former player, but he's the one who's believed his gun was used. It was registered in his name. Michael Davis allegedly is believed to be the one who pulled the actual trigger. Okay. Now, the Alabama basketball player Brandon Miller, who is their leading scorer and is considered to be a top 10 projected lottery pick in the upcoming draft, and Alabama's one of the best teams in the country, a projected number one seed right now. Brandon Miller today is in a little bit of hot water because testimony in the trial of these young men, I don't know how young they are actually, but of these men, detectives have revealed that Brandon Miller, the Alabama freshman, brought the gun. Mm-hmm. So he brought Darius Miles his gun that was later used, allegedly, by Michael Davis in this murder. And here's what was stated in the testimony. So apparently Miles contacted Miller asking him to bring his gun to where they were. According to police, when Miller got to the scene, Miles told Michael Davis, to go pull the trigger. The heat is in the hat, allegedly. It's what Detective Brandon Culpepper said. That meant the gun was present. And he also added, Miles added, there's one in the head. That meant there was a round in the chamber. Mm-hmm. Miles moved his girlfriend back to get her out of the line of fire, Culpepper added. Asked by AL.com why Miller was not charged after bringing the gun to the scene, Tuscaloosa Chief Deputy DA Paula Whitley said, that's not a question I can answer. There's nothing we can charge him with. Alabama coach Nate Oates said Tuesday that Miller is not in any trouble at all either. So apparently Miller dropped Miles off at the club but did not stay because he said the line was too long. Mm-hmm. After leaving the club, Harris, which we were talking about the person who actually got killed in there, was a young lady, Jamia.
Yep.
Jamia Harris ended up losing her life. But her boyfriend, Cedric Johnson, and her cousin that was with her at the time, apparently they were like at a grill eating or whatever. This is how everything started. And they encountered Davis, who was dancing in front of their car. Johnson told Davis that his girlfriend was not interested and to move along. It got elevated, got heated. Culpepper said, Davis said, you don't know who I am and what I do. Miles and Davis walked away from the victim's Jeep, but later returned. Two vehicles, a Dodge Charger and a Dodge Challenger, that belonged to Miles' teammates, Brandon Miller and Bradley, were blocking the road where the Jeep was parked. Miles and Davis walked to Miller's car and got something believed to be the gun out of back seat. Culpepper said Miles had texted Miller saying, I need my joint, which is slang for my gun. Moments later, Culpepper testified Davis approached the victim's car and said, I told you I was going to get you, and then began firing through the driver's side window of the Jeep. He fired at least 8 shots, some of them while running in an arc from the driver's side around the back of the vehicle. Testimony revealed it was then the detective said that Miller's Charger was struck by 2 bullets. Johnson, the victim's boyfriend, returned fire, striking Davis in the shoulder. Harris was struck in the left side of her face, and she lost her life.
Yeah. The thing about it is, too, I mean, I know everybody's trying to get this kid off the team. He wasn't there. He wasn't part of it. He had left the situation and did all this other stuff. So when you leave and come back, that should be attempted murder. I mean, you left and came back, and he's not part of the team. So this has nothing to do with the other guy. I think the only thing that happened was the fact that he was asked to bring it.
He brought it,
and that was it.
And he left.
And here's the key thing about this. If this was at a restaurant, aren't there surveillance videos? Shouldn't there be? Most restaurants have cameras, and if it's in one of like these little shopping centers, I don't know if it's a standalone or not, there's cameras everywhere. So there's angles that could catch this at some point. I'm sure that a lot of this stuff has been seized. And if he's not even part of the situation, like he's not even around it, why is he even in the conversation?
No,
and I think that's why all the people are saying it. It's like, dude brought him his gun, okay, but did he stick around? Did he know that old boy was going to pull it and actually shoot it? Some people say it was he might have said, bring it to me because I feel threatened and I need my safety. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different ways that we can look at it without accusing this kid of being guilty in this situation. He didn't pull the trigger. He's not an accessory. He's not an accomplice. And that's what the DA has come to. People's automatic thinking is this. He is part of it because he brought it there. I know a bunch of people that carry and forget it, come back, get it. They don't mean that they're going to pull it. They just have it for protection. So there's so many different ways of looking at this situation. And if the DA, like everybody else has been talking about before, says that this dude is not even part of this case, then what is the conversation about?
They said,
I guess that's it.
They basically have said they don't have anything to charge him with. So at this time, yeah, I'm with you. I think what he did could be considered shady.
Right.
Maybe it's a little shady what he did, but I guess it obviously doesn't rise in their eyes to the level of criminality.
Okay, so here's my other part of that. I just want to throw this out there. And I saw a texter text this earlier. Is this in the scholarship situation where if you've done something as a detriment to the university or our team or anything like that? And that is why I think a lot of people are like, he doesn't need to play basketball because he was, quote unquote, an accessory. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, it's just say every school has, a code of ethics or an honor code, if you will.
That's the word. That's it.
Yeah,
that's
so
the honor code.
I'm sure that if they wanted to suspend him, they could. They would be well within their rights. I mean, you can suspend somebody for damn near anything, violation of team rules, whatever it may be. And the school is deciding that he did not violate any team rules, and that he did not violate their honor code or their code of ethics. I think, to me, it's not. I said the same thing when Deshaun Watson was. Obviously all those allegations against Deshaun Watson for sexual misconduct. You can be a shady person and even a bad person.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily make you a criminal. And I know some people are like, what? That's great. I know. I'm not saying I agree with it.
Right.
I'm not saying I agree with it, but you can be someone who does shady stuff and be a bad person, being an a-hole, and not necessarily be a criminal. And did he know what he was doing when he brought a gun to the scene? He probably knew that, hey, if something's going down up here, my friend wants his gun. Right. That's probably all he thought about. We don't know exactly what his intent was when he brought the gun. But I'm with you. If I was him, I probably wouldn't have brought the gun.
Right.
I'd be like, I'm good. I'm gonna be a top 10 draft pick. Sorry, bro. You gotta get somebody else to go get that gun.
Yeah, somebody else got to go get it.
I can't be getting your gun.
That's
You
right.
gotta get somebody else. I'm a top 10 draft pick. I can't go get your gun, bro.
He's guilty of not being smart.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like you're a top 10 draft pick. You should literally just tell him on the phone and say, bro, I'm a top 10 draft pick. I don't want to drop that on you. Do you know who I am? I can't do that. Yeah. I can't be bringing you a gun, man.
And everybody know me.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it, too, just think if he would have been able to get inside the club.
Exactly.
He really would have been a part. Then he would definitely be an accessory.
The reason he wasn't an accessory because the line was too long.
Exactly.
He went away.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
I'm with
and
you.
obviously the people in them line didn't know who he was because they made him stand outside.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know where the young man is from originally. Right. I got to do the research on that. But, man, that was a hood rule. Somebody asked you to bring a gun.
Right. You got to know something's going on.
Come on. That means somebody asked you, bro, I need that heat.
Yeah.
What? All right, if I do bring it, then I know what it's for.
Yeah, that's why he left. That's why I'm not sticking around.
Your fans, somebody asks you for the heat in the hood. Well,
Yeah,
it usually serves the person. Maybe just not street smart. Maybe he's not from the hood. But
right.
yeah, the man wanted a gun.
Somebody lost their life, and that's very unfortunate
It is.
in this situation. And now it's becoming that story of the athlete. Is he not being charged because he is an athlete there? Is he not one of the – if he would have been just a jag, would this even be a story? But since it's the fact that it was basketball players – because I remember when it initially happened – the one guy was crying, talking about it. I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty of doing anything. I saw the whole video. I'm like, what is going on here? Then you find out what happened, and they're still investigating this deal. It's not over. There's still going to be a trial, and just like any other case, they will probably try to do a civil lawsuit because somebody did lose their life at some point, and he's going to be tied to it. He may be tied to it that way.
Yeah.
Just because you're not guilty, and like you said, doesn't mean you're innocent.
All right, we got to wrap up the conversation. Good stuff there. We'll come back, we'll wrap it up, and put in Evan. Let us know what's on top right here on Ball Don't Lie 104.9. All right, welcome back. Got to be a quickie here, in and out. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com. You can catch up with them on the podcast page. Also, don't go anywhere. You got the flex coming up next. What you got on tap, Parch?
I'm going to listen to the flex so they can tell me what's going on.
Damn right. What you got on tap, Patrick?
Hey, man, we're going to check out the flex, and then, I'm going to probably watch some college basketball.
Oh, that
yeah.
sounds good.
I don't got NBA for another day, so I got to watch some college basketball.
That's right. Catch up.
Lots of hoops. We got a meeting, actually. So I'm going to be on a meeting. We got a call
yeah, I'm be on
tonight.
that
We'll all be on that meeting.
Oh, we'll be on the call. So that's what on tap for me. The Revolution, I'll be telling us. Remember, we talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Peace.